Hi everyone, this is Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick as we come to the end of day one in England versus India. Of course, India are all out for 191 with England now 2 for 52 at this stage, trailing by 139. So the reality is that India have not done brilliantly in their batting effort. They're out again on the first day. They're all out on the first day of play at 191, but effectively, with some good tail end batting there of Shardul Thakur with some 57, and Virat Kohli did reasonably well with his 50. They've got their tail up to a reasonable situation, and having taken 2 early wickets, certainly were in some form of ascendancy. Unfortunately, or fortunately for England, not so fortunate for India. Malan and Root have batted on somewhat, with Malan on 26 not out and Root 21. So they've resurrected what was a pretty quick fast start in terms of wickets being lost. So yeah, India did bat miserably. You would say comparatively, you'd have to say they did. It was a rather disappointing effort again from India. You have to be impressed with Kohli got 50, and again we're hearing this commentary. And I'm going to do a video on Virat Kohli having not scored a century in quite an elongated period of time. But mind you, he scored 50 today. Now, that's still very admirable score. I mean, it's not to be sneezed at by any stretch of the imagination. Pujara is again turning off. Well, yeah, he nicked the ball. He nicked a very good ball. Let's be honest, it was a very good ball indeed. You can't knock him to that point. Well, it's just very unfortunate that we're seeing a lot of relatively low scores from the Indian batsmen. I still believe Rahul and to me, Rahul and Rowan had the key to this innings, and unfortunately they didn't get a good start. There is a lot of disappointment there. We noticed that Rishabh Pant also had some sort of a bit of a hamstring tear or two, or at least a pull of his hamstring. He's on in a great deal of comfort there out there. He certainly is suffering somewhat. So Bumrah knocks over England's opening pairs cheap. Let's just have a look at the score card of India and England. We'll just go through a bit of a judgment situation. Let's have a look here. So both Rory Burns was bowled by Bumrah for 5, and Hamid was caught punt by Bumrah for a duck. So not exactly they were not the starts that they had from the previous test when they were none for 120 at the end of the day post play. So Rohit Sharma was out for 11. Got a pretty good ball off Wokeforks, caught behind. KL Rahul was out, LBW to Robinson. Quite frankly, I don't know whether that was out, to be honest with you, but anyway, it was given out. Pujara caught quite well by Bairstow off Anderson. Great bowling of Anderson. Then Kohli eventually got caught by Bairstow as well, but for 50 of Robinson. Jadeja was a rather, he was put up the order somewhat was Jadeja ahead of both Punt and Rahane. Got 10, didn't work. Rahane was caught, and Ali bowled Overton. Unfortunately, again, Punt caught, Ali bowled Wokes. And then you had Shardul Thakur looked particularly good for his 57, scored 7 fours and 3 sixes, a magnificent 30 of 36 balls. He really took the fight to England, and thankfully his innings didn't go as well as it did. Yadav got out for 10, Bumrah and Siraj barely hit the totals, but you have to, with Chris Woakes coming back into the team, taking 4 wickets for 55, certainly earned his stripes. Ollie Robinson will bowl for 3 wickets. Both Anderson and Overton took 1 each without the use of any spinners. So all out for 191. The interesting partnership there was when they were 7 for 127, so they were in dire straits at 7 for 120. There's a wicket fallen as well to Yadav, which is great. So yeah, 7 for 127. They recovered to be 8 for 190. So that 63-run partnership was significant, primarily due to Shardul Thakur, and he proven to be a bit of a match winner. He did get an Adelaide and that Yadav has comprehensively bowled Root, which is a very, very significant wicket in this performance. Very much a significant wicket. England now 352, and Joe Root out for 21. That's a rare failure by Root and Mashadov with an unusual ball skidding in. Maybe Mashadov was the key. We needed to see a batsman come in. So 352, that's significant. England's not necessarily going to be in the ascendancy here. The reality is that, being 352, still trailing behind the 39, England have got a bit of a way to go here. And certainly it's going to even the day's performance up to 191 from India. Considering they were 7 for 127, to be then 8 for 190 with Shadul's tackles, 57 becoming very significant. Now with 352, you've got still the likes of Pope and Bairstow to come. Overton's in the now. Overton can bat, by the way, so it's not a total loss. But the reality is that you'd have to argue that. So Overton's had 6 matches, 156, batting average 22. He's hit no 50s or 100s, but he's hit 41. Root's out, yes, and Root certainly is out. That's a distinct wicket that we're taking. And Mashadov may have earned his stripes today. But still, probably the biggest shock of the day was the non-selection of Ravichandra Ashwin. I still think they're going to brew that one because, especially now that they're bowling second and therefore would have bowled last in this match, to have Ashwin on the side would have been significant. I still don't quite work out that one. That was a very unusual decision to me, not to have Ashwin on the side. So 4 tests in a row, India have left out who is probably the lead bowler in the world, both as a spinner but as a bowler in general. And it's rather a bit of a shock to see that Ashwin's on the side. The non-selection is going to be a topic of conversation for some time. But bear with me a second. I'm just going to get a pillow. A little bit of a pillow there. The reality is that that's the selection that I would argue was quite a shock, actually. I don't know where they really got that one from. And the fact is that England 353. Now, if India get a couple more, if they get another wicket or two tonight and have England 4 or 5 down, the game is very much an even kill. 1 to 2 more wickets will see England not win this day. At the moment, it's pretty even keel, I would argue. A little bit on the even keel side at 353. And we've only got a minute or two more played before the close match. And Dawid Malan is looking pretty solid on 26. He's certainly been a very good inclusion in this team as a first dropper. Hamid failed, unfortunately, and Burns did too. But Malan's very solid. Malan's got this maturity about the way he bats. With Pope, Bairstow, and Ali still to bat, and Wokes, they've got a bit of, and Robinson can bat, so they've got a bit of depth in England batting lineup. But we must certainly come back with a bang with these 2 wickets. You'd have to argue the dismissal of Root was very significant just now. So Malan, Overton, India have some form of a sense they could just get that 1 more wicket before stumps. That'd be great. Jadeja was promoted up the order. He is a far better batsman than Overton, but the difference there, Suman, I'll ask you that Jadeja wasn't promoted up the order as a night watchman, of course. He was upgraded in the batting line just purely because he was up the order. There was no nightfall about to occur. In the case here, Overton been up the batting order purely because of the lateness of the day, not because of any other reason. Yeah, and Bumrah certainly, again, is a key here. Ollie Popes would be a little bit nervous because if he had to go out there now with a quick fire wicket to Overton, then that would have been dramatic. In fact, I don't think Pope's that significant to have a night watchman for his batting. I think that's a bit of a concern. So India have certainly turned the ledger a bit with 353, but if they take 1 more wicket, it'll put a nice icing on the cake. And Bumrah certainly has bowled well. He's taken 2 wickets, and they're very impressive indeed. I put out a video earlier today, a pre-match video with David Gravener. I urge you all to watch that. In fact, it was particularly interesting indeed. Capacity to bowl magic balls in swing conditions and make something happen when bowlers get too predictable. Yeah, that's true. Are you talking Bakul Dada about Bumrah, or who are you talking about there? Oh, it's quite a nasty short ball. Not all that fast, 134 Ks, I wouldn't say it's fast. So, Colin, okay. Is cricket popular in Australia? Beast base setup. Now, Beast base setup, I hope you're subscribed to the account, because I normally don't allow non-subscribers to be a part of the question time, because I prefer to talk to people who have subscribed. So please tell me if you've subscribed. No, yes, exactly. That's what I am saying, and I have been saying that from the second day. Today's up the order is not 5 times. Yeah, he certainly. Overton has amazing averages. Yes, he does, but he's not batting there, and this spot's him because he's going to stay permanently at that position of third drop. No, he's ahead of Pope and Bairstow and the like because of the night watchman process. So that's why he's there. Overton certainly can bat. There's no doubt in Overton can bat. But yeah, why didn't Pope go in? I don't really get that. Pope's not that far up the order to have to be covered by a non-watchman. I don't know. This is by far the last. Surprisingly, this should be the last over, I think, of the day. So, yeah. Yeah, Jadeja and Overton, if you look at a comparison, you would have to say Jadeja has got a much better record. He scored Test centuries and some big 300s in the domestic leagues. So, no, Jadeja is a better batsman than Overton, I think, despite Overton having a pretty reasonable batting performance. So, Pimo Golson is saying get rid of Pujara and Rahane and bring back Surya and Ashwin. Ashwin's, don't know why he wasn't there. Really don't know why he wasn't there. Your Sunday saying, hi, I'm crying now. Well, I wouldn't cry too hard, but the biggest threat is out. Yes, I think that the day would have to be evenly poised now, with England after 17 overs being 3 for 53. Today's players actually seen 78.3 overs, 244 runs, which is a fair rate. Wickets 13, over rate 12.3, with a run rate of 3.11. So it was a reasonable day's cricket all round, with 13 wickets falling. Umar Sharda took a very significant wicket before in the day's play. Noted about that. The wicket of Root was very significant indeed, and that has probably evened the match considerably. The fact that England are 353 at stumps means that the game is pretty evenly poised now. Probably slightly in England's favour, but not much, considering that 191 was a recoverable score. Shardul Thakur, 57 not out. Sorry, 57 out, but 36 balls. Well, and several fours and a number of sixes. Really is a significant impact in this match. So take that out of the score, and the score would be very ordinary. So the one that's 61 times where he had a major part to play was significant. Milan's not out 26, Over not out 1, Burns 5, Hamid got out for a duck and Root for 21. Root was actually looking very good too, by the way. So Udav has 1 for 15 off 6 overs, Bumrah 2 for 15 off 6 overs, both bowl very well. Thakur, quite reasonable there, none for 11. But Siraj's a bit loose there, 12 runs off his 2 overs. We're not going to take it too hard on him at the moment. So talking about first class average test here. And Tim's telling him to Google it. Maybe it isn't. Okay, Shardul Umesh justified there. Okay, so Anil Engel saying that Shardul Umesh had justified Ashwin's non-exclusion, his exclusion. I don't think so. They played well. I mean, they could easily have been. Ishan Sharma was dropped, so that's why Umesh Yadav came in, and Sharma was dropped. Well, at least he was injured, they're saying, and Sharma was brought in, but you could have easily had Ashwin in there as well. I think Ashwin would have been a inclusion they needed to make, but yeah, we'll wait and see how well. Have to wait and see how well. Shardul's batting, certainly his spark was that they knew they were under pressure, those two guys, and they've certainly come through. So India's day. Well, now in terms of who's on top now, certainly with India will have 191, you would not have said that it was India's day. But having taken the wicket of Root, that's certainly going to bring it on. Taking the wicket of Root for 21 is significant. Certainly, so England trail by 138 runs with 7 wickets in hand. If India can get into those batsmen early, not when you're feeling sleepy. No, I'm not sleepy. When just eyes a bit weary. Shardul Thakur scored the 3rd quickest 50 in tests for India. That's pretty damn significant, isn't it? Certainly is. Pitch is as green as the tour, no action required. Yeah. But it's meant to break up towards the end of the match. That's a significant point. So, yes, I'd have to argue there's something going on there. Tim Overton is yet to play a number of international matches. And I agree with Suman, actually, that there's Overton can't be in the same, India. Yes, Root is out or lead, but how many runs, Norman? It's slightly in England's favour, but India certainly has brought it back to about maybe a 60-40 day. So 60% England and 40% India. And you could even say 55-45, around that mark. So yeah, England can't be said it's England's day total. So let's just look at the comment. 13 wickets on the first day, and India have found ways to stay abreast with England after long patches of pressure from the host. The batting was put under pressure again after England put India in and bowled relentlessly, but that Shardul Thakur counter-attack knocked the wind out of the CSR. Such a game changer was that knock. England has not yet scored as many as Thakur did and have lost 3 wickets. That's an interesting statistic. I like that. The fact that Thakur has scored more runs than England total at this point is, you would argue, somewhat significant, including that of Root. Has to be said that for a long period with the ball, India looked a little ordinary, especially once Bumrah's first ball was done. But then out of nowhere came a beauty from Umesh to Castle. Root match is pretty even right now. See you tomorrow. And that's probably a fair assumption of the day. It is pretty even. I think the Umesh out of wicket was certainly significant. Bumrah certainly bowled well early. Siraj was a little bit weak, but that's only 2 overs of his overall performance, so let's not get too carried away there. Yeah, England are lucky. I think 60-40 to England at the moment. I said it before, Tim. I would agree. Bring on that Chubby guy, Munshi. And he's not around at the moment, but he may not be awake. But I've sent him the link, so let's see if Munshi's there. Richard Vernon, as an AKA Banstead boy, is actually on his way to the Canary Islands without Chris Vernon. So I believe there's a bit of carrying on there. Let's look at this situation here. Let's look here. I'm just going to text an important person. Yeah, it's an interesting phase of the match, just to see if anyone, there's a fair bit of interest going on there. There is a lot of interest going on there. Let's look at this. Great view. I'm just saying it was a great view. Great view. Great view indeed. I really appreciate the great view. All right, let's have a look here. The reality is that has the way that Umesh Yadav and Thakur and his batting been an acceptance of their play over the loss of Ashwin? there is an argument here that, perhaps the spark of Takor and Umashad taking root spigot both contributed to the situation of the day's play. Yes, it certainly has. Without Takor's 57 and without Umash's last wicket haul there, we would not have had the situation quite as it was. I mean, that's a fair comment indeed. I mean, Umashad and Bumrah both, took the new ball. But look at Takor's performance: 57 off 36 balls in and just on an hour he was out there, quite run a minute, striking at 158, and he scored 7 fours and 3 sixes. So 46 of his 57 runs came in boundaries. Impressive. 7 fours, obviously 28, and 3 sixes 18. So 46 of his 57 came in boundaries. Quite impressive. So 10 scoring shots out of his 36 balls. It's Shardul Takor has taken it. And even the Umashad somewhat, they were in that partnership together, weren't they? I think they were. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty significant contribution out of 191. Don't forget, India was 7 for 127. 7 for 127. Really looking down the barrel of an extremely low score. But that 63-run partnership has taken them out of that, because then 3 wickets fell very, very quickly. And even yet again, Rishabh Pant only scored 9. So Shardul Takor, hacks on him. If he's actually played himself deservedly over Ashwin, I don't know. They could have. Ashwin probably is going to be slightly rude. I'm especially in the second innings. So I think that's a fair call for the day's play. But look, there's no way you can knock the performance of India. They've done reasonably well, but England certainly are 60-40. England 60-40, maybe 55-45. Just slightly in front. So it's not as after the first test, of course. After the third test, when India were all out for 78 and England were none for 120, there was a distinct advantage to England. In this case, all out for 191, which is certainly more runs, and 353 is certainly a lot more even. That previous game would be 95-5. This is more 55-45, maybe 60-40. So effectively, England is slightly in front, but it's basically, look, if India take a couple of early wickets in the morning, I personally think Pope is very vulnerable. Pope is extremely vulnerable. Bairstow is going to bat below Pope because he's keeping. There's Moeen Ali's batting very low in the order, and then you've got Chris Woakes and Ollie Robinson. Obviously, Overton's got up. They've got some batting depth in England have. Really, only Anderson is the bunny. Maybe Robinson slightly, but they've got Moeen Ali, who scored centuries, Woakes, who has scored centuries, Bairstow has scored centuries as well. Ali Pope hasn't quite got there yet. So there's 3 players to come that have hit centuries at this level. So it's a pretty deep England batting lineup, but they got a little bit of a way to go. And if India can bowl well in the morning, there's a few wickets to be had there. So hats off to India's recovery from a position of 7 for 127 to be up to 190 and then 191 all out. That's reasonably significant return, and Shardul Takor was the centre of that. So guys, if you are making comments on my live broadcast and you aren't a member, if you're not a subscriber, then hit the subscribe button and then hit the notification button for future reference. Please don't just watch it and not subscribe, because that's important for us to have that. We've already we've certainly got a lot of benefits from, well, I like to say people are true believers in the channel and actually do subscribe. It doesn't take any cost at all. You may get some notifications from me, but I post generally once to twice a day. And I think that, that's a pretty reasonable situation to be in. So, all right, let's have a look here. Yeah, people are saying that India were poor today. 191 is certainly a poor score, but if they can get England out for a similar score, well, then that sets the scene for a very good Test match. At this stage, they probably haven't done as well as they should have. And another 50 to 100 runs may have been significant, especially considering how few runs England have made so far in this innings. Malan looks good. In fact, Malan and Root both look good together. But yeah, it's fortunate for India that they got Root relatively early on 21. He was looking particularly good. He had some nice onside shots and an offside shot or two as well. He looked good, but Musharraf, good on him. He's done well, hasn't he? What do we got here? India found an all-rounder Shardul who will the template of Virat Kohli prefer Ashwin on wicket, the taking bowl ahead of Jadeja. So that's, yeah, it does look like they don't want to take two spinners outside of India into the games, and that's what the decision was. And they're saying Jadeja was better, and that's an intriguing one. Remember Shardul's night where Aussies had, that's why Ashwin's exclusion just like green pitches. Well, Shardul Thakur batted particularly well with Washington Sunday. They both got 60 odd in the test at the Gabba, which they ended up winning. And India were in relatively dire straits, and both Shardul Thakur and Washington Sunday both got 60 odd, took 3 wickets each, and actually turned the match around with the help of Siraj and obviously the Punt and even Gill and Bajar. They had a very much a contributory performance, but those two were heavily involved there. Shardul Thakur hasn't done that well in the previous test that he played early in the series, but this is significant. The conclusion of Thakur was certainly there, and it was to take the wicket. But yeah, you can't help but think Ashwin should be there as well. I'm sorry. Root was motoring, doing the ball along the ball that came out of the blue. An outswinger came a long way back off the pitch. True, that's typical Umesh Yadav. Today's I think India will win the match and series. I guess what you're saying. Another Indian batting collapse and second innings Sindhu won't come to rescue that again. Let's hope it's not that bad. It is desperate to send it a 7 at 5. Well, are you talking about Jadeja there? Well, what about Overton? He's come in too. It doesn't speak very highly of Pope and Bairstow. They're both pretty good batsmen. Do they need? They're not. They're not Root. You wouldn't need to protect them. I don't know. I thought that was. No, Shardul's performance was particularly significant, really, and we'll see how significant over the next few days. But Punt looking shaky on attack. Yeah, he looks a bit shaky. I do like this comparison. I do like that comparison. It is a bit of a dramatic play to leave out, a bit like leaving Ronaldo Messi out, yes, because the wicket's not exactly what it is. I would agree with it. Kohli completed 23,000 runs. That's a significant milestone, guys. 23,000 runs, Kohli. And let's not forget, yes, the wicket will dry out, and Ashwin would have been critical in the second. Munchie, you want to come on? Munchie, if you're there, come on. Yeah, I'll just see whether Munchie wants to come on. What's the message to? I'll just pull up the. Just picking up the. Just picking up the. So yeah, Marshy may not be able to come this stage. All right. Yeah, the slip catching or the positions of the slips have been ordinary. They've been far too close in each other's way and doubt who should go for what. Yeah. So, Tim, it was a smart move, desperate move for England to send night watchmen. They got scared. Well, look, touche. I mean, Jadeja was, I don't really know. Maybe they're trying to break the batting line putting Jadeja early. It didn't quite work, in all honesty. Yeah, look, I'd say that there's a good chance that the 36 and 78 that India score may make them charges. Very hard-working and dedicated journalist. Well, thank you. Thank you, man. Yeah, that was a major issue. Bumrah's performance in the World Test Championship was below par. That was significantly missed out. Umesh Yadav also knows by his performance today that he's on show and he knows he needs to perform to get back on his line. He's doing so. Munshi or Ashwin's inclusion would have been a blunder on Graham Pitts and surprise that you want him. England, I think that he's the best statistical bowler in the world in terms of run, wickets taken, and matches played. 4 Test matches in a row he hasn't included. Well, that's a bit of a mistake. Jim Maxwell said that he's the most significant non-selection of a player for a long time. Kohli got lucky, still couldn't capitalise. Guess he's downhill now. Look, no, he got 50 and he batted beautifully, I think. Got a good ball to get out, but he batted beautifully. You are very hard work. Okay, thank you. Yes, it doesn't work, but it's sometimes worth trying. I don't mind. Everything doesn't come perfectly in the first go. Okay, fair enough. They've got a template, as they're saying, of bowling, of having a lot of faster bowlers in their lineup in England. Well, if they're going to be serious about that, if England are going to be serious, India are going to be serious about putting in fast bowlers or bowlers who can bowl swing, then there's one exclusion here that I think should have been the case. They should have had Bhuvi Kumar here, because he would have been a worthwhile proposal. Cafe 18, good morning to you, thank you. I hope you've subscribed, Cafe 18. If you're on now, please subscribe. If you're watching this program at this time of morning for me, please subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button. Show me that you're keen to be a part of it. Hit the subscribe button now, and that would be really appreciated. 50 not out, good enough when you haven't scored 102 years. Yeah, I'm not going to knock Kohli. I still think he's got an incredible. He scored 23,000 runs in all 3 formats. You can't discard him that quickly, guys. You can't discard him that quickly. You really can't. At all. You can't discard him. Sadvik Bulgaria, there's an advantage there in terms of, it's brought it back to level playing at the very least. If they can get Overton Pope early tomorrow morning, that's 5 down. Yeah, Milan and Bairstow could be the last frontier. They still have Wokes and Ali too. They've got a bit of batting depth. But yeah, they need to top load a few more batsmen to be classified on top. Time to rest Rahane. Yeah, I kind of seen that. Gareth Bankett in context, he's looked better than previous innings, yes. Kohli scored 2 back-to-back 50s. He is getting 2 back-to-back 50s is not a bad achievement for anyone. And he hit the ball beautifully. It's a magnificent drive. So he got a good ball out. Unfortunately, he got a good ball. And he's good enough a batsman to edge a good ball. That is always a problem, because he can get an edge to the ball easily. Well, Indian player by committing on front foot loses shape when coming to rugby. Yeah, there's a bit behind the front foot play of Kohli. Yes, he could be more back foot on occasion. Yeah, there's a lot of caught behinds going on. You're right. Dom Sibley scored a 50 for Warwickshire. Just saying. Yeah, well, Dom Sibley. Well, Hamid looked pretty ordinary yet again, but I don't think Dom Sibley's going to just be rushed right back into the team at all. That won't happen. I think that Hamid's at least going to be given this series, and whether Sibley's capable of going to Australia is another question. I don't think so. there's a lot to be said about you've got a very just sorry guys, I got a bit of a problem with my shoulder. It's very, very, very dodgy. Okay, all right. Skillet scored 3 in the first innings. Yeah, well, Sibley's not getting back in any hurry, I can assure you. I think India should have gone with Ashwin. I do too. I still think that. What will happen tomorrow? Well, it's incredibly even, isn't it? You would have to say it's slightly in England's favour. And England do have a few batters left. They've got Bairstow, Pope to an extent. They've got Chris Woakes and Ali. They've got 4 or 5 batters with Milan still there as well. They've got a few batters there that can probably ink out the total that's there. India are probably something like, you would argue, 50 runs, at least 50 runs short. But India brought England back a few pegs. There's a bit of blood. There's a scarring tissue there. I don't know what it is. It's just I've got a problem with my shoulder. Nothing serious, guys. All right. No Indian player has played punch shot in this series. Yeah, that's true. None of the back foot punch shots. You're right. Indian national team is becoming a personal franchise team controlled by Kohli and Shastri. That's a bit too much of a comment. I don't know what that's necessarily. Pronounced Shasina. The cricket wins today. Are you? Cricket went on today. It was certainly a great game. There was 13 wickets that fell, good bowling, some good batting. With Shardul Thakur was certainly resurrected. India have still kept England at bay. Ollie Pope needs to come of age. He needs a 50 plus. I'll drop him. Yeah, I'm not rating Ollie Pope. I know that he's in the side today, but I'm not rating him. I think he's far from solid there. And the fact they're protecting him at such a stage of the match, I think he should have won the bat. Really, it was. What are they protecting him for? India hit by another day by 1 as route to the pavilion. Well, that certainly brought it back quite considerably. Yes, 2 down, they probably weren't the front. India got from 3 down. I would say 55-40, slightly England's side, just slightly. 1 more wicket would have toppled it India's way. Munchie, how can you digest that blunder of Ashwin's? It's a major talking point is Ashwin's exclusion, I must say. Well, Jimmy Maxwell, who I would rate is a very good, judge of the team. He says his non-inclusion is a big one because this is his 4th test in a row that he hasn't been included in a series. And when you think of the fact that everybody, and I mean everybody, was assuming he was in, everyone was selecting him in this game, but it didn't happen. Interesting. Yeah. Norman, read my comment about Kohli's technique and approach today and tell me I'm right or wrong. You're talking about how far back was that comment, Simon? I don't like you to refer. Kohli also played mid ball and right. Yeah, they both should keep their bat away from the ball when it's out off stump. Let it go up, not poke. I think I've been saying it from the day of the series, actually. Next coach, also Kohli lackey. Okay, he's saying he'll do what Kohli says. I don't know. I don't think it's a bit of a harsh comment, really. I think it's a bit of a harsh comment. Anyway. read my comment about Kohli. I did do that. What's the magical ball from Umesh Laka? No, it's a magical ball. The way it came in, Root did not expect it to come in that much. Poor footwork, yes. They're not going back. They're prodding forward, yes. I think still England is ahead. They had that deep. Your thoughts? They do with Ali, Mohamed Ali, and obviously the likes of Wokes and Bairstow yet to come in. It is slightly in England's favour. Had they lost the wicket more, maybe two, they would have been definitely India's favourite. Yeah, India's 19 are pretty good. Okay. So I know people are now commenting, but have you all subscribed? Not World, can't pronounce, not Wasted. You need to be able to say to me that you're actually subscribing, guys. It'd be pretty significant to tell me that. It's 4 a.m, guys. Okay. You think it's 60-40 in as well? I'm thinking more that way. 55-45, 50, 60-40 is about right. Virat or Root? Well, at the moment, it still has to be Root. I mean, Root, he's got 20 listenings and 21 listenings, and Kohli got 50, so they're Kohli's ahead. You're Mookie, are you? Why you got more than one account, have you, Mookie? Have you got more than one account? Sorry, guys, I've got this problem with this. Okay. New Zealand very weak if they are not at home conditions. It looked a little bit that well. They can't be too well. They played well in England, didn't they, with the World Test Championship? But New Zealand and Bangladesh, as was Australia, they both were pretty weak in that country. Will I be the Aussie Javo in India? Well, I could easily, but couldn't I? I waited for. You're waiting for the 20,000. We're getting close. We're getting close. We're certainly getting close. Another 600-700. I just lost the person actually. So I got barred for trying that is unrelated to cricket. Okay. Technical guys, all teams are better at home conditions. Same goes with India. That's true. It is the truth. That is a true format that you do have that happen. There's no doubt. Okay. Okay. Need to get 3 early wickets on day 2. Stop Malan and Bairstow from 1. Yeah, they're a pretty significant pair to be getting on top of. Milan, Himanshu Chaudhary, yes, Milan is looking in good touch. He's got a very elegant way of batting, hasn't he? I really like Milan. I think he's a very important part of England's future. They want him to be. He could well be a bit of a leader. He's got very much a Cook feeling about him when he bats, I must say. Yeah, we've said that already. Look out for. I don't know what you're talking about there. Afghanistan can also beat New Zealand in T20. So, a good chance. England are not that good at home. In the last 2 years, they could. New Zealand, Australia, Pakistan. Well, they haven't done too badly so far, to be honest. Let's just hope you're right. Pulmer gets 4, almost 3, Siraj 2, and Tucker 1. I would argue even Tucker might get a few more. I think he's got that all-round capability that he's showing certainly at the moment. Is it itching or some? No, it's nothing serious. Don't worry. What do you do apart from YouTube? Well, I have. I was working for the federal government for 30 odd years. I'm now really doing. I mean, in a form of, you could argue, you could call it retirement. I've got a pretty good financial financial nest egg. Who's not committing on the front foot. Yeah, well, at this stage, I don't think Coley was not as much on the front foot, to be honest. He looked brilliant. He hit some magnificent fours, though. You must admit, he hit some magnificent fours. Indeed, he hit some magnificent fours. A lot of discussion about Suryakumar Yadav. I don't think he's quite there yet. Okay, that's my thoughts. And he is wasting Ashwin's talent. Yeah, I think you're right. Punt even should be in a place. Yeah, I think that's not. There's a lot of thought behind Rahul keeping and Punt not being decided. No. Yeah, I think that. Okay. India need to come hard and strong tonight. They certainly do. Umesh Yadav may be the success of the team with Bumrah. They're and Siraj. They're all very aggressive bowling, so that's pretty impressive. At leaving the ball, Puranjay, you're right. I've said that for quite a while. They should leave the ball more. In particular, Kohli, Pujara, and Rahane. Yeah, he did. It was brilliant batting. No, I don't think Sky's there yet. Rahane's place is more in doubt than Pujara's. I would agree with that, certainly. But they keep. I don't think they're going to have Pujara or Rahane out of the test side for their 5 tests. I think they're basically locked in for all 5 tests. You would almost argue regardless at this point. Don't forget Pujara did hit 90 odd just in the last match, and Rahane and Pujara had a 100-run punch in the second, which won the test. So there's been some significant moments which those two guys have been a part of. So you can't, and there's influence over the side of Rahane. Rahane's next captain at this point. Interesting. Yeah, Roots. Did you agree with India's losing patience in their eyes on IPL? Well, they are talking a lot about IPL at the moment, probably a bit too much actually, which is it's so close. I mean, it's September 19th the IPL starts, and then the World Cup October, I think October 19th or something like that. And then you got this finishing on September the 10, 11, 12, 13, on 14. So there's only days between both. It is quite an incredible schedule. But it's not anyone's fault. It's because of COVID. That's why it's happened. Punt should learn from Shardul. Wait to see. There was some pretty ordinary shots from Punt earlier, I must say. Because of the depth of the England batting with Wokes, Ali, Wokes want to prove a point, Ali's vice captain, Bairstow, I think England will get 240, a little bit ahead. This is my thoughts at this point in time. Milan still is. I think England might go 40 or 50 ahead, which is not overwhelming, but it's in their favour. But India have to actually bat better in their second innings, which they will. There's going to be a result in this match, that's for sure. Yeah, committing on the front foot is the problem. You're right. I agree with that. And we should have smacked 6 sixes in an over. Well, I think he did pretty well. India's eyes are on the. We're talking already. He plays. Finally, Kohli is. I think Kohli's innings today was quite commendable, especially under the circumstances. England have beaten India twice in Test this year. They have. England one of the best sides in the world. I will think England missed a trick by not picking Leach. He would have taken wickets. Yeah, you could argue the same as with Ashwin, that Leach may have been significant too. I do agree with that. They both were significant non-inclusions. Yeah, well, Ashwin is an interesting selection. We'll see. Well, the T20 World Cup squad will be announced apparently after this test. So we'll see whether Ashwin's in there. Putt needs to be trusted his defence more. When he ran into the wicket and played that shot, there was a lot of eyes. Again, he's jumping the gun a bit too much there. It's the way he plays, though. I hope the rumours that Vikram Gautam is the choice for players. It's got a very high regard in the squad, has Vikram, so you never know. Do you think it was a good decision to bat first? Well, it wasn't India's decision to bat first. It was England's toss that they won, so India had no choice. They were sent into bat, so yeah, it was not a matter of choice. India last time won on this venue 50 years ago. Well, let's not think about it. What about the Gabba? That was another one. That was a long time ago as well. So, there's no issue there. Bahram Irani's joined us.
Hi, Norman.
How are you?
I'm fine. How about you?
Very, very good. Everyone, we've been joined by Bahram Irani here, and he's are there any Aussies? Tell me. Yeah, there is plenty of Aussies. Wakes is going to sort of row it with something there. There was some interesting plays, wasn't there, today? There was what do you think, Bahram, of the decision not to play Ashwin?
Decision not to play Ashwin, I think this was the best opportunity considering given the oval and also Ashwin getting 6 wickets for a county match. So I really thought that they should have played Ashwin. So I really don't know what's going on in the mind of Kohli and Ravi Shastri. It's very difficult to comprehend. And unfortunately, as a Indian fan, the woes of 3, 4, 5, and now even 6, they again continue. So today also it was okay. Kohli hit a half century and he got out to a reasonably good ball. It was not his usual poking guide, but again from where Kohli has been for us, 50 is like I would still not consider as something Kohli-ish kind of inning. So woes of 3, 4, early 3, 4, 5, 6 still continue, which is and not seeing any change over there in that batting lineup was also something very shocking. Apart from Ashwin, because it was very expected that there would be one Ashwin definitely entering and at least one change in the batting lineup. So even that did not happen. So let's see how it goes. Only good part is they got the big scalp of Root. Getting Root out early is a big scalp, and let's see. So how things go.
The reality is that you had, England have got a bit more depth in their batting line. Haven't they? Got Overton now, but they've got Ali, they've got Wokes, best that have come. They've got a little bit more depth to their batting lineup, you would argue. So that's probably the only thing in their favour. I'm predicting that. I mean, I'd hope not, but I'm predicting England will probably get 230 or thereabouts if they bat to their ability. But it's up to India now to take the wickets. They're very fortunate to have Shardul Thakur do what he did. Even though Ashwin should have been selected, there's no doubt Ashwin should have been selected. You can see that Umesh Yadav and Thakur are busting a gut to make their presence felt. And I'm very happy with the way that Shardul Thakur played, aren't you?
Yeah, correct.
He really showed some of the other, some of the other players what to do in that situation. He scored it quite amazingly. It was almost like a punt type innings, wasn't it?
Yeah, correct. The innings of Shardul was really good. And again, like this thing, like Norman previously, as I said, is like here we have Shardul, we have Umesh Yadav who will be playing to actually get into the team and cement a place into the team. So definitely will see a good performance. And what also I liked about the pitch today, like it was, if you notice, it was helping more on seaming. It was swinging a little bit, but it was seaming like nicely. Till now, of all the games we saw, this one is really helping the seamers. So that way, I feel it is a more towards the Indian bowlers' advantage because Indian bowlers I did not see they are so mastery or able to control the swing of the ball, but seam wise they are very good. So in fact, Shami could have been very dangerous here
Useful.
also. Yeah.
But the question I've got is if India are seriously trying to look at their situation regarding, you know, their template is faster bowlers or seam bowlers on these wickets, then you would argue one of their best seamers is Bhuvi Kumar, and maybe they should have rushed him back ahead of, say, even a Singh. The Singh. What's his name again? Singer. Is it Singer? No, who's the player?
Krishna.
Um,
Yeah, they should have. I don't know. Means considering, even I agree. Bhuvneshwar Kumar is the really good swing bowler that they have, and given the situation, so what's on the mind of Kohli and what's on the mind of Ravi Shastri is very difficult. Like today, I would say whole of India would have been disappointed not seeing Ashwin. So, and like almost every, you can see like why Ashwin was not selected, and everybody's saying on that. So it's very difficult to say. And what I did not like from the previous match also, like, when Ishan played, when he was given the new ball, was really giving a, like, they were trying to justify the selection, that why we have selected Ishan. That was also a very disconcerting fact to see, because Ishan's opening, he was not able to stem the flow of runs. Okay, you're not taking wickets, but if you're not even able to stem the flow of runs, then that's where the pressure gives away and the whole situation goes. From the last match, and even if you this match, if you see, one big thing what England has done is really that they are making it difficult to score. They are not giving away runs easily. Whereas if you see, in case of the Indian bowlers, that's not happening. The only people I see is Bumrah. Bumrah, at least, good part is like, okay, if he's not taking wickets, he's not in form. At least he does not go for runs. Same with even Ashwin, or same with Jadeja. And the whole English bowlers are also the whole over there. But last game, Ishant really gave away a lot of pressure, especially having the opening spell and really changing the tone of the game.
Yeah, it was. You are right. You'd argue that the bowling of. Hang on, while we're talking, I'm just doing something, guy. The fact is, the bowling of England is a lot tighter. I would agree with that. I would say definitely that the bowling of England is tighter, which your summation is right. I would say there's a lot behind that indeed. And I think that, India need to be aware of that. I mean, Siraj was a bit disappointing, I thought, didn't you? He was a bit disappointing.
In the previous game, you're talking today?
Today.
Yeah.
He only bowled 2 overs, I know. He only bowled 2 overs, but it was a bit disappointing in terms of the scheme of things.
I saw his first over went for 11 runs. So that was like maybe David Malan en route or on form. And they were scoring very fast also, which was surprising. They were going at 4 runs an over, which was
well, that's what I'm saying. It was taking a pressure situation when India need to really put the foot on, or on the throat of England. They didn't. They let that go, but thankfully, almost took that wicket. Because if he took that wicket, it allowed that's a major breakthrough. Really, does that make sense? Like, so to me, it's that they put Siraj on, but they took him off very quickly too, because he wasn't as effective as he should be. So they needed someone to take wickets at that point. That part of the day is extremely important to the scheme of things, and I think that's almost came to the rescue. Had they taken one more wicket, it would have been a day that India would have been slightly in front, but they didn't. So England is slightly in front. And with their depth of their batting, they probably have a better chance. But look, Shardul Thakur came to score 57. So, again, India's lower order has done okay, despite not being expected to do okay. If England can, if India can get a few early wickets tomorrow, it'll put a lot of pressure back on England. But even if England lead by, say, 230, they're about 39 in front. That's not significant enough to be a major concern. The game is a lot closer in that case then. Would you agree? The one, we can be very thankful for Thakur's performance, because they were 7 for 127 at that stage. Had Thakur fell quickly, they would have been all out for 140, which would have been ordinary. 63-run partnership he and who was it? Who was he batting with Umesh? Yeah,
Umesh.
that was pretty significant.
Yeah.
I like Shardul Thakur a lot because don't forget back in the test of the Gabba, he and Washington Sundar hit 60-odd runs each when India were going not that well in that match, turned it around, took 3 wickets each, could easily be man of the match. But they didn't quite get there. They looked to me good because of those guys. And Shardul Thakur doesn't get much credit for that win against Australia at the Gabba. Obviously, Punt does, even Gill and Siraj's 5 wickets, they all get. But if you score 60 runs and take 3 wickets in a match, that's pretty significant as an all-rounder, wouldn't you think?
No, correct. And that 60 run, even that was a partnership with Washington Sundar, if I remember, in the first inning. So that was something very significant. And today, coming back to see, now let's see where the England team, because till now all the matches we saw that Root scoring and anchoring the innings. So now Root is out early, so this can be something different. We can expect that maybe a collapse because till now we are seeing huge batting collapses by India. So who knows? We might see one with England tomorrow also. But considering you don't have the anchor of Root tomorrow, wicket of Root was a big scalp today. If let's say I would say David Malan would have been out and Root, I would say yes, 230, 240 would have been easily done tomorrow. So still it's possible. I'm not saying no on that, but they don't have the anchor of Root available now. So let's see how this pans out. And again, tomorrow morning, let's hope conditions good, that ball seems more. So let's see. But there is a big problem with India's batting, and very disappointing to see that chances are being given Root is heavy. Like if you see the case of Prithvi Shaw, in Australia, in just the 2 bad innings in first match, and he was removed because they had very clearly seen there is a technical issue with him and he needs to improve upon it. Here we are seeing with these batsmen, again we are seeing like Pujara is having a technical issue, Kohli is having a technical issue, again getting out the same way. Pant is having the same issue. Today again also he would have been out the same way, and he was also let into a trap. His catch
one of his early shots when he ran down the wicket, it was, and I noticed, I think it was Overton or Robinson, they had a bit of a wry smile. Yeah, it's becoming a bit too frequent, the shot of Punt, which he likes to dance down the wicket. He's missed it several times now. If he does it occasionally, fine, but if he's doing it every innings, Punt needs to settle down a bit more, I think. But have a look at the way that Thakur performed. He had one single mindset, and it looks as though Punt gets a bit carried away, then retracts, gets carried away, retracts. He's not as clear-minded as he should be. Do I think his batting position was better, though? I think it was good that they put Punt in earlier. That was a pretty significant thing, wasn't it? But Punt went in probably a bit too early, but clearly they're putting Punt in front of Jadeja in front of Punt.
Jadeja. That was given the form that they were going. It was a good decision, but honestly, I would have, if you ask me, I would have preferred Ashwin over Jadeja given the situation. I don't know why are they pursuing it so much, and what so much they see. Jadeja already played 3 matches, and you see it's like on the bowling aspect, he's not okay. He's giving us strong in terms of economy and finishing up the overs fast, which is helping in the over 8. But till now we did not see him taking any wicket because of his fielding, some brilliant catch and batting has been okay. I won't say something which has really come out of the ordinary, but I think what his batting prowess till now, I think Ashwin would have also delivered, if not, but at least up to it. But in bowling, definitely we would have seen a big difference between Ashwin and Jadeja.
The reality is that we just don't know what Ashwin would have done. He may have taken a five. He may have cleaned up some England performances. What I'm getting at there is that I think that we haven't had a chance to see what impact Ashwin will have. He could have turned the matches. He's capable of turning a match, taking 5 wickets, taking 10 in the innings, and in the 2 innings. He's missing, and they have no idea what would have happened with him there. And that's what's very disappointing. They've not even given him a chance. He has actually, as you know, he's actually not even. He hasn't played one match. For God's sake, there's something wrong there. The best bowler in the world should have played one match. This was the match. If you're going to select him on tour, the best spin bowler in the world, you would think that you would have sent him into one game. This is the game, because he's not going to be able to play the fifth test on the basis of what we're saying. Very unlikely to play the fifth test, because this is the best conditions for him as a spin bowler. So they made some pretty big mistakes here, I think.
Yeah, correct. Who knows? We will be surprised to see him in the fifth test. When we all say, "Oh, they didn't play in this," that's how currently the selections are happening. It's very
it's illogical, isn't it? It's illogical, because if India lose this match, they've missed an opportunity to bring Ashwin in, and to bring him in for the last match is not the right signal. They should have had him in now. They've missed a trick here. They really have missed a trick. They've missed a trick big time. Quite a shock. I'm still a bit shocked by that selection. I don't know about you, but I'm shocked. And everyone.
If India wins this match, I believe they need to make some change, at least in the batting. They can't continue.
If India win the match or lose the match?
Even if they win, I'm saying. Even if they win. See, to India win, there should be someone, like the batting of India needs to perform. 3, 4, 5, someone needs to perform in the second innings. Let's say, even if England takes a 30-40 run lead, then you can't expect India again to score a 200. And if the lead is, let's say, 130 or between 150, I think England will easily win it. Like in the second innings, there should be at least 200 or maybe 250 plus a lead to be. So who knows, tomorrow the match might be, England might be all out. Maybe in the first session or the second session also. That's also completely possible.
It is. It is possible. It is very possible. I mean, we mustn't forget that England are behind at the moment. Like the last test match, India were all out for 78, and England were already in front by the end of day one, none for 120. This time around, they're 3 for 50, and they're still 130 or thereabouts behind. The reality is that Thakur's performance, his 57, hasn't been defeated by the England score yet. So there's a lot of significant comparisons here that are actually in favour of India. But India are not you can't say India are in front after day one. You can't say India are in front after day one. What you can say is that India have brought it back to a situation now where it's pretty even keel, which is a pretty good result considering where they were at. They were when they were 7 for 127. I was going, oh my God, this is the day it ended again. Another shocking performance by India on day one, but the Thakur innings resurrected it somewhat, and their bowling has resurrected it somewhat. So, yeah, it's exciting. Still heavily in the balance. 1-1 after day one, virtually slightly in favour of England. Match is very, very evenly poised. It could go either way still. This is going to be an exciting series, especially if, this test match could well be the one to decide, because the fifth test, there's a possibility that it could be washed out. It could be a draw. So
yeah, they're saying because the storm is coming or something. So this is actually, if you win this test, you will definitely not lose the series. So this is a very important test.
Oh, for sure. This is effectively a win if you win this, especially if India win, because to come out with a draw in this series, if that's what happens, is amazing. Oh, look, we've got to give credit to India. It's 1-1, and they're going very close to winning this match. It's a pretty big effort to be doing this well in England. If it was 1-1 in India, we wouldn't be as happy. But in England, they've been ahead for 2 out of the 3 tests so far. They were ahead. This match is a bit even, so they're still in a very good situation. It's very, very impressive indeed. I'm pretty happy with India's performance.
Definitely, if you you look at it on a overall in a level mind as an Indian fan, you would be okay given the situation. We are into the fourth Test match. We have won all. Uh, but a disappointing fact was India fan. We feel that this could have been definitely different. And the most disappointing fact is again the 3, 4, 5, and 6 performance and continually dragging on with them. It's been too long in given chances and chances.
But hang on, Kohli's hit 250s in a row. That's not. There's nothing wrong.
Let me tell you, this 50 was very impressive, and he looked in control. It was not like out of control. He got out to a good ball. Today's 50 was impressive, but again, we like 100 will only get back into a form. You see repeatedly many people it's just one knock of getting 100, but that is really not coming. So
I think it's very close. I think it's very, very, very close.
Yeah, it's becoming too long. It's like if it comes also people. This is like Sachin's 100. I remember by the time when it came also, like we were like, oh my god, like there was no excitement when it came. So everything has an opportune moment. Like Norman, it should come within that. If it comes either too early or too late, it does not. You don't get the joy when it comes. So right now, that's what has happened with at least all three, even with Rane, Kohli, and also Pujara. Pujara was very close in the last match of getting that 100, at least that psychological thing. But they were disappointed. If you see, they played very well on the third day. The fourth day, like we felt everything is back to the whole mess has come again. It's like one day's good work was wiped out in 1 hour of the next day.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, let's go back a bit. Rahane and Pujara, 100-run partnership second test match 1. A great performance in a very bad start after having only got 78. The Pujara and Kohli came back and scored 91 and 45. They got out cheaply the next day, yes, but you can't discredit that. And Kohli got 50 today. He drove beautifully. You can't say he's not decent nick. He drove beautifully. He fought out a very difficult period. He didn't. He was dropped at one stage off a ball that probably may have been caught. But yeah, the nicking is his problem. The way he bats, he's just got to let the ball go more often. But then he played some beautiful drives outside. It's very hard for me to criticise Kohli. He still scored 23,000 runs in all 3 formats. Yet another 50 to his bow for Test cricket. You can't knock a player for getting a 50. You can't. They're being a bit hard on Kohli.
On that same lines, I would even defend Rane, Norman. But what I'm seeing, like he's giving away his wicket very easily. It's not that the bowler is bowling some beautiful balls or something like today. Also, like he was hooking, pulling 2-3 pull shots he played was out of control. I don't know why. It's like as if he gets in, he gets confident, and then starts. I don't know. Behaves like Pant, wants to become a Pant and plays or starts poking at the balls, and he's getting. That's how he's being got out the whole series, even in the WTC, which is very disconcerting. Like this is a simple mindset thing that he needs to do, and a player of his caliber and experience should easily implement it. Not match after match after match, we are seeing him just giving away his wicket. Even today,
it was a bit of a slap in the face that Jadeja came in front of Rahane a little bit. It was a bit of a slap in Rahane's face, to be honest with you, because why would Rahane, who's an upper order batsman, be Jadeja in front of him? That was a bit of an unusual one, I thought. Maybe they did that because I think I talked before. David Gravely said swapping Jadeja and Punt around may confuse them, but what they did with Jadeja is they put him up 2 levels to make it look like that it was a significant, bump up for him. It wasn't bad. He looked okay, but he got out. And I don't think Rahane needs to be dropped down the order. If he's a top order batsman, he shouldn't be dropped down the order. That was a bit because it wasn't like it was a night watchman role for Jadeja or anything like that. It was a normal part of the batting day. It was a bit disturbing.
I think it was a night watchman to get over the lunch because 3 wickets had fallen. And and again, like if you saw the part in the morning, like when KL Rahul got out, they were like 28 for 1. And next, like I was watching, and 7 overs, 8 over, like maiden after maiden, and there's no. I said, wicket falls here again, like you will be at, and literally that very same thing happened. The pressure that was put on by England was amazing. Like I've seen, if you bowl 7, 8 maiden overs, for sure you will get a wicket. Batsmen are going to. No one can handle that kind of a patience.
Well, I mean, Wokes, Robinson, Overton, and Anderson all bowled very, very well. They bowl, as you said, but it is home conditions. Like this is their backyard. You would expect them to do well. I think the inclusion of Umesh Yadav was interesting because obviously Shami was injured. Or the question is, was he injured? Was Shami injured or not? That's the question. And they're saying he was. Interesting. It isn't. I'd like to know more.
Even if not injured, maybe they would have been restricting him, because dropping Shami would not make sense. Ishant, yes, maybe is injured, or maybe they sent him home. I don't know, his wife is pregnant or something like that. So people are coming up with reasons all the day. So on Ishant, I can say but Shami, I think definitely must be. Either they would have been definitely resting him considering the final, because I doubt they would play Bumrah also in the final match. All depends on this. If India win here, then maybe they might not play Bumrah. And let's hope they make some change. Even if India wins, I would like to see that they make a change in the 3, 4, 5, 6 and not continue. At least remove Pant then from a match. If see, because I dug in the fact, like in case of Prithvi Shah, in one test match they saw a technical mistake and they removed him. And you look at the number of chances that these people are getting. It's not fair to others also. Like you keep on. Okay, we are saying they're great players. They'll come back. This and that, but you come back, go play domestic, not in international matches where your WTC is on the line, such big series are on the line, and things are 2, 3 matches, not 6, 7 matches.
It's so hard with Pant what to do, because we know how much talent he's got. We know that, and we keep waiting for it to happen, and he hasn't done that well. It's a hard one. It's a really hard one. I do respect the way that India's held on to their batting lineup, and the focus today was certainly not on who was chosen the batting lineup. The focus today was on the bowling. Ashwin's non-inclusion was very, very, very hard to understand. Very, very hard to understand. I think that the template they're talking about was to have one spinner, and he did spend time, Kohli, talking about that Jadeja's better against left-hand batsmen, which I don't agree, and he's batting and he's fielding. And they put Jadeja up the order almost to put a stamp on the fact that he's important from a batting perspective, almost seeing him as a batter rather than even a bowler. And they're saying that they would not have put Ashwin that high in the order. That was a bit of a cover to say, look here, Jadeja's in the side to bat. Here he is. If he batted up the order, had he got a big score, then we would have had to be a bit quiet about Ashwin a little bit. Because really it's Ashwin or Jadeja in this series, it looks like. The way that Kohli spoke, his only inclusion of Ashwin would be at the expense of Jadeja, not Ishant or anyone else, because they want 4 fast bowlers. They clearly want 4 fast bowlers.
The only way, like 10% way I would justify Ashwin's exclusion is maybe they saw the pitch and they were aware that this is no way is going to help Ashwin, or Ashwin might also have said that yes, these conditions will not suit me, or they as a group decided that, because if I'm not wrong, Moeen Ali means England also did not bowl a single over of spin, if I'm correct.
No, that's pretty significant. You're right. That England didn't go into the effort.
Anyway, we are just in the first day of the match. Who knows? This match might be over in 3 days also. So that is the only thing I can think of, that why Ashwin would not have been included in this. So they wanted a more a batsman but if they really wanted a batsman and spinner is not, then why not play a pure batsman? Why, I would say,
Exactly.
have an Agarwal or
Exactly.
that mind thing also crosses my mind.
Exactly. I mean, look, I believe that India tried to show they thought that Jadeja is in their eyes a pure batsman because they batted him so high. He went in number 5 after Kohli. That's quite an elevation of his batting order, really. So they tried, and he got 10. If he'd gotten 100, we may have been having to eat our words. I tell you, but it didn't happen. I'm very happy for
talking about Jadeja. If Jadeja would have gotten 100.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Jadeja would have got 100, we would be eating our words now, but he didn't. But I'm so happy about Shardul Thakur. To me, he didn't perform well early in the series, but this was the sort of innings that he is really going to be an important all-rounder to the Indian side. I really think of it that you could argue that you could have Ashwin on the side and Thakur and no Jadeja. That could be the case in the future. But then again, Jadeja's record's so damn good. He scored thousands of test runs and taken hundreds of wickets. We've got to remember that. Jadeja's record's pretty damn good. But how could you... Okay, we'll come back to the obvious. How could you not have the world's best spinner not playing? It's... Jim Maxwell summed it up. He said, this is the biggest non-selection of a player that he can ever imagine. It's a bit like not having Shane Warne on the test side, or not having Murali on the Sri Lankan side, or not having Ben Stokes in the England side, if available, having them sit on the bench. And the way that I think it was Shastri went up to Ashwin before the match started and gave him a bit of a hug or a bit of a talking to. There's no way that Ashwin's happy. There's no way Ashwin would be, in my opinion, somewhat embarrassed about not being picked for the side. Honestly.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. I think another thing why this whole thing is happening is maybe because of the bad form of the 3, 4, 5, and 6. Surprisingly, Norman, like previously, I would remember previous decade or early, this was really the strength of India. The middle order was the prime strength, or the things which would have which win India the matches. And we had the problem we had was with the openers. Now it looks like the tables have completely turned, and the problem is in the middle order. Openers are okay. We are reasonably happy with them. They are performing well. So very weird kind of a situation.
Well, both Rohit Sharma and Rahul failed today. They looked like they were pretty good, actually. They looked good, but then they both went very quickly. And that turned the match very quickly around. And then Pujara didn't last long. And I'll tell you what, India were on the back foot. And they had both Kohli and Jadeja together. And that was a resurrection between those two. It was looking good. Then Jadeja went. Rahane didn't take long to go. Punt didn't take long to go. It really looked bad at 7 for 127, didn't it? But then in came Thakur. And admittedly, 191's not a great total, but when you put the scheme of things, it's a pretty good recovery. You take Kohli's innings and Thakur's innings out, they're back to 78, aren't they? That's rather scary. I mean, it's a bit of a shock to see India score in 2 test matches, their first innings, 78 and 191. Who would have imagined they would have scored such low scores as the first innings in a test match? Admittedly, this time they didn't choose to bat. England put them into bat. But yeah, it's funny how we're thinking 191's okay, only because we're comparing it to 78. 191 is awful for a first innings.
Yeah, it's like this quarter GDP of India. It grew by 20%, but you're comparing it to last quarter, which was down by 24%. So comparatively looks good.
Yeah, I still think the key to the Indian batting lineup is their openers. When both Rahul and Rohit Sharma fire like they did in the first and second tests when they got big opening partnerships, it was quite a significant change to the performance. And you would have to argue that that's where
Yeah, it looks as if it's all dependent on openers. Like today, they go reasonable. India came to a reasonable total. When they good, India do good. But if they do bad, the Indian team does very bad. But today also morning, if you see like normal, like compared to the last match, like there were nicks and the wickets went. Today morning also there were those like Anderson balls, which were, I would say, they were swinging little more, that they were going away from the bat edges. But there were many balls which would have easily gotten the wicket. It was again 42 years of luck, that I would say. So where, I don't know, where given the top teams of the right now, if you talk about test or anything, cricket mostly has become like a game of the day, like who luck is favoring whom. So I don't know.
Well,
one way
we can't compare England.
Yeah,
We can't compare England and England and India to anyone at the moment, because other than New Zealand, who play the World Test Championship, Australia haven't played a Test match since January, which is incredible. That's that's 8 months, 9 months. That's what's a bit like Bangladesh or Sri Lanka in terms of frequency of the way they play Test cricket. You can't play high-level Test cricket, not play for 8 or 9 months. And that South African tour, which they didn't go on, that's, yeah, I don't know. Australia got a long way to return, I tell you. They got England and India have had so many opportunities over the last 6 to 8 months to play each other at Test level. Those two teams have gone further ahead. Their standards are very high, especially in the bowling departments. If England bowl the way they are now in Australia, even though Australia's different conditions, England are going to give Australia a real shake.
But one thing I'll tell you, Norman, see the England team, they look at your batting and they look at your bowling. They look like a team very suited to their conditions, which is, but outside of England, it gives a thing that they might not perform so well. Like I would say if they go to Bangladesh would even might beat them.
Well, Bangladesh's conditions are some of the worst in the world, what we're hearing.
Yeah, I saw the yesterday's T20 and it was shocking the way the pitch was. Like from the first ball, it was like even New Zealand got their spinners in that. Like Bangladesh have taken the curation of the pitch to the next level, even outclass India, I would say.
Bangladesh would love to play the World Cup in Bangladesh, I'll tell you, because they'd probably win the bloody thing. They'd probably win it.
No, there was one ball bowled by the key. I forgot who the bowler was, the fast bowler. Like he hit the pitch and just like it's as if some hit a crack in the pitch and just went in. Like it was maybe from the 6th or 7th stump and hit the batsman on the leg stump. It was like when I saw the ball, I got shocked. Like what's going on?
Sri Lanka beat South Africa in the ODI, by the way, didn't they?
Yeah, I saw that.
It's just I don't know. It's just interesting because how the Sri Lankan side, I can't even recognise the team. They still haven't got anyone. Dhananjaya De Silva's there. Sri Lanka, they've got a few players that I'm seeing, but not many. And South Africa had Rabada, Norjay, Maharaj. They had a few good players. Shamsi, they had a pretty good playing side themselves.
I thought they would overcome it, but suddenly they just, I don't know, lost the plot of what happened. It was very weird. Like they were not able to score or step on. They were going at a good, but when the step on was required, they were unable to do it.
It's interesting. Temba Bavuma is the captain of South Africa. He's a good solid player, but I would never have seen him as a captain. Interesting.
He's the test captain, right? So he's also made the ODI.
Bavuma.
Yeah, Bavuma he's the test captain. He was. I remember he I think with the Pakistan test in South Africa, he was the captain.
If I'm being very fair, I barely recognise any of the players in the South African side. I've heard of Markram, I've heard of Van der Dussen, I've heard a few of them, yes. But it's like I don't recognise them anymore. The only player that really stands out is Rabada. The rest, you've got
Right now the South African Sri Lankan team, both of them are like that. Like every time you see like half of the team, you don't even first names you are hearing them.
It's pretty sad, isn't it? Because those teams were pretty significant earlier on, but there's something missing with those two teams. It's really sad. I mean, I guess COVID's not helping anyone. COVID's making a mess of this. It really is. It's disturbing sides. Even a lot of the England players coming to Australia, whether they're all going to come, there's no certainty as to what's going on. There'll be a series in Australia for sure.
Do you seriously think there are a lot of talks that will there be? Do you seriously think the Ashes would not happen?
Oh, it's going to happen.
Okay.
But at the moment, we've got some 1,200 to 1,300 new cases a day. We've in this particular spike, we've lost 100 people, which is not a huge death rate. 100's not huge. But they're saying that by October, which is only a few weeks away, we're going to have 3,000 or 4,000 a day, and we could go as high as 10,000 a day. For Australia, when you think of the population being 25 million, that's a lot. I mean, India, what did India have? 40,000 a day or something?
Right now it's 40,000. Today it was 47,000.
But 40,000 for 1.5 billion people compared to 10,000 for 25 million is a pretty high percentage. Would you agree? It's a pretty high percentage.
Correct. No, the death that you said 100, that's total up till now, right? Or that's per day?
No, that's not per day. That's 100 in this latest spike.
Okay.
In the last month
total till now since last year.
The total's I think the total's around about 1,000 overall. But it was 900. But we lost several hundred from one boat, actually. It was a cruise boat. We lost a lot of people from that. So we've had about 900, and that's been at 900 for a long, long time. And now we've got 100. But I guess it's more that because of our vaccination rate being, they're saying 66%, but that's only the first jab. It's only really about 30% or 25% or 30% that have had both jabs, which is really, really low. Maybe by the end of the year, we might be closer to 60 or 70% two jabs. That's going to mean that we're going to be locked down at least until December, if not January, which will mean, especially the SCG and MCG, that they won't have any crowds. They probably won't have any match. That you might find the SCG, MCG test matches maybe move to the Gabba or even Northern Territory or something like that. That's what's likely to happen. And as well as that, with rugby league and other sports, nothing's been played in New South Wales and Sydney. Nothing at all. The grand final of tournaments, which has never been played outside of Sydney, never been played outside of Sydney or Melbourne. The AFL, which is the Aussie rules, and the rugby league are both being played. One in Perth and one in Queensland, which is it's a shock. First time ever. I mean, New Zealand's even starting to, they're not huge numbers, but New Zealand's starting to get a rapid number of cases. So, yeah, there's a lot of change. There's a lot of uncertainty here. It's already September. So, it's only a few months away when we're meant to be playing all these test matches. And if it gets worse,
my personal opinion, like countries should consider this as a normal flu and move ahead. It's been too long, and let's say now if there are talks of new variant which are evading vaccine, so are we talking of another 2-3 years of lockdown? I think it will be.
We can't do it. We can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
we've got to just go about a normal day. Wear masks if necessary. Keep a bit of social distancing, but have to open up businesses because Australia's. I mean, it's not the worst country in the world. We know that, but it is suffering immensely. A lot of small businesses are out the door at the moment.
Same here in Southeast Asia also. It's bad because of the no travel allowed, no tourism allowed, and Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, they are very heavily dependent on tourism. Thailand, Indonesia. If you don't have tourism, it's a really bad situation.
Especially the resorts, The resorts are what we're talking about. The resorts are certainly they're But I heard that Thailand, what they're doing is they're actually having you get vaccinated when you arrive, your first and second doses. They're doing all these bonuses to help people come to
Doing
the
that,
country.
they're planning. They were planning to open Phuket, but then suddenly it's going on since March or April, but till now nothing has been implemented. And another problem is that people like, okay, if Thailand also accepts people to come, people are worried that when they come back to their country, what about that? So if yeah, that's another thing. Like, let's say somebody from UK wants to travel, but when he's coming back and he has to be in quarantine, go through the whole hassle, nobody would want to travel for that.
What about the Philippines, where you are? What's happening there? Because you rely on tourism, don't you?
Here it's like, because of the second wave, it's like right now 22,000, 23,000, which again is very high for the population. So everything is locked down. We are only allowed to go out to buy food or essentials. So that's the only reason. And when you're out, you need to wear face mask and also face shield. Only two countries in the world compulsory require to wear face shield. One is Philippines and other is Peru.
So where is it? Philippines and where?
Peru.
Peru.
Yeah. Only two countries in the world. On top of the mask, you also need to wear a face shield. So that's
well, you know what? That is, you know, I would argue that's commendable, because, you know, if you're going to make doubly sure you're not going to get it, having a face shield is a better thing, because most people's masks are pathetic. Nobody changes the masks. They wear the same. I mean,
they
do
don't
you
wear
change
it
your
properly.
mask?
They don't. Yeah.
But do you change your mask daily, or
I change the filter once every 2 weeks. So there's a filter inside, so you have to change.
But once every 2 weeks is not good enough. It's supposed to be technically changed every 3 hours. They're saying. I don't do it.
And then the filter, it's like change. The filter that I have, the user says.
I put a cloth mask on. I think I've worn the 1 or 2 masks the entire time. I've never changed my mask or filters. I don't do it at all properly. But I mean, technically and clinically, you're supposed to change every 3 hours. No one does it. So
it's cumbersome and impulsive. That's the also thing. Like, it's too cumbersome. I would suggest wear 2 masks. It's more easier wear 2 masks, and then also, like, there was a lot of, some masks have a valve in it, so that's not allowed. Some have like a breathing space, so that's so a lot of controversies going on. Anyway, let's come back to cricket, Norman.
Yes.
On COVID-19.
No, sorry. It's easy to digress.
Yeah, but this is the topic. This is the topic.
John, not really shocked, mildly upset, as he's in great form, but it was cracking delivery from Umesh that jagged back nicely through. Why would you be mildly upset about the dismissal of Root? He's batted so well for so long. If he has one dismissal, doesn't mean that any difference.
I think Munch is referring to the match in particular, just for this match. But we should all remember that Root till now has been the anchor in the whole English batting. So this is, let's see what happens tomorrow and how these people react.
Well, I mean, Milan looked damn good today too.
Yeah.
And you got Chris Wokes. I'm pretty sure Chris Wokes will fire. There's a spark about Chris Wokes. The way he bowled today was fantastic. He got more movement.
In any condition, I would say either England would be 20-30 behind, or who knows, 20-30 in the lead, or maybe more.
Yeah,
because
I don't think
we have Moeen Ali who can fire 20-30, Chris Wokes can fire 20. Even if these people had 20-30 from, you would see, because India's not scored that high. 190 is I would say way below par also. 250, 270, I would say would have been a par score, but
I think anywhere around 230 is still an even match. I think even if England are in front by 30 or 40, I think it's still a pretty even match. But there's going to be a result. There's going to be a result without any doubt. This will be finished in 4 days. You'd have to think.
Maybe even 3, who knows? No.
I really can't see India batting long in their second innings either, to be honest with you. And, you know, they won't bat 2 days or anything like that. They couldn't bat 2 days in the previous test. I dare say that this is going to be over in 4 days. but the question is, will India win or not? At this point, you have to doubt it. Even though the game's pretty even, it's going to be a difficult one for India to win. It's going to need to be a Thakur type performance or a Bumrah type performance to do well. I was disappointed with Siraj this evening because I think that he could have taken a wicket or two. Could have really, if England were 5 down at night, that would have been a big thing. But they're still 3 down. You know, Ollie Pope I don't rate. Wokes I do. Ali's not bad as well. Let's be honest. But yeah, they got a bit of batting to come. It's going to be interesting. We could be completely wrong here. They might be out for less than 190 tomorrow, and India could be in ascendancy. But either way, it's going to be a close match. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very, very close match. The series has been exciting, I think, even though it hasn't been necessarily quality batting all round. It's been still very exciting. Umesh Yadav did bowl well, but he knows he had to.
I don't know if you saw the Virat Kohli interview. Said that the next matches are going to be spicy. What he meant by that, I no meaning on that. And he said India is the team that every other team wants to beat. They look up to. So we should be happy or we should be proud with that. So
Kohli's 50 and Shardul's 57. You think about it. I don't think any of the England batsmen will get 50 in their innings. Maybe Milan because he's already halfway there. But otherwise, I don't think any of the England batsmen will get 50. Pope won't get many runs. Other than Wokes, I mean, I don't think Ali will get many runs.
I don't know.
Wokes is going to be. Wokes' attitude. He's very much like a Ben Stokes. He'll have a good. Wokes is a very, very good batter. He's a very, very good batter. Really is. Feel a bit sorry for Sam Curran because he was dropped effectively from a winning side. You know, or was Sam Curran always just warming up Chris Wokes' seat? Is the question. It looks as though he was.
England and India should also learn with that. Like by getting Malan in, even if they would not have performed, they would not have been better than where they were. Right now with India, I see the same situation with Rahane and Pant, both of them to a point, to an extent. If you tell me, like if you get anybody in place of them, you won't be better than where you were.
No, they could have dropped Jadeja and got Ashwin. I still think they need to. Well, it's not going to happen. Ashwin's not playing the entire series now. If they do sleep next game, they're making a very confusing situation out of it because now they've put their line in the sand. They don't want Ashwin in the series. You have to think that. I mean, you can say the conditions are because Kohli went at quite a bit of length to try to talk everybody out of not having Ashwin on the side. He said, "Oh well, Jadeja's the better bat. Jadeja's a better one against left-arm batters." That was amazing. It almost tells you Kohli was quite strong in not having Ashwin on the side. Interesting.
Right.
Laugh a lot. Gareth Banker only scoring 50 runs, so they're getting dropped as hopeless. No, it's not, Gareth Banker. Jesus. Kohli looked fantastic. He drove.
He looked very good in his 50.
I thought he was in for a big 100. I thought he was in for a really big 100. He was looking really good. It's going to happen before we know it, and then he'll hit pay dirt. He'll score several hundreds. He's still got a magnificent another 50.
But I really like the analysis that made by Sunil Gavaskar. He said, if you see, and I can see it also very clear, the English batsmen are playing more back foot dominated, and that I think is making the difference. Whereas the Indian batsmen are like going on the front foot and they're starting on the front foot and then seeing that whether we go back or whereas the English batsmen are the other way. They're going on the back and then seeing whether to go. So that, I don't know, that simple thing is giving a more advantage to the English batsmen than the Indian, and why they are not able to make that change is not clear. Pant's logic of batting outside the crease is also...
Pant's going front foot every time.
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma and Rahul are particularly impressive the way they've been batting. They're doing a lot of late under the. This is it. It's very simple. Letting the ball go, playing the ball under the helmet, playing the ball late under the helmet, and guiding the ball through slips where necessary has been a big success for Root. He's been very good at that. Kohli today didn't play as much in the back foot, but he played some very handsome front foot shots. But it still led to his downfall. But he did play some. I mean, there was a couple of drives which were well outside off stump that he got a hold of and played very well. But you would argue, based on what Rohit Sharma's doing, he would let those balls go. So Kohli's not changed too much.
Same I would say with Rane. I mean, he played a shot, but he was looking so much in control. Like when I saw the Rane's innings, he was looking so much in control and like I felt that he was getting overconfident. Like more he was getting he was looking overconfident and like trying some pulls which were not needed. And then he got out ball was supposed to be left. There was no way he should have gone on the ball. I don't know why. And the most irritating part is seeing the batsman get out again and again with the same kind of balls. And as Indian fan, that's the most irritating part. I don't know. I would send you a meme on WhatsApp. There was a WhatsApp meme showing that all of Kohli's dismissals put side by side, and they all look the same.
It's really hard because Kohli's had so much success being a front foot player, hasn't he? He has had a lot of success. He really has shown a lot of great performances there, and it is a hard one. It really is. It's a hard one to. It's hard to knock Kohli. I know he hasn't scored a century in 2 years, and Pujara hasn't scored a century, and blah blah blah. I know they keep knocking these guys, but they.
What is this Uncle Sam's comment is exactly what even I was thinking, that make Rahul to keep and get a good batsman in place of Pant. That would have been actually a more bold decision.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we probably need to give Pant a bit of a break. His batting selections, his shots that he's playing leave a lot to be desired. There's no doubt about that. I'm not impressed with his shot selections. It's getting out of hand. That fifth or sixth ball that he faces, he dances down the wicket, premeditated. And not only does he completely misses the ball. It's quite a disaster. He's not even close to the ball. That's a very, very big concern for me. I don't think you're going to see. Pant will play the fifth test. He's not going to be dropped. I don't think anyone's going to. I think it's too late now. They're into the last test match. Unless if it was 1-1 and that was a deciding match, they may do some changes. But I don't think they're going to make any changes now. And you have to fear that they're going to lose this.
India wins over here. Definitely, I don't see any change. They might even continue with the same. If they lose, then maybe they might. The pressure might be so much that they change. But again, will the fifth test match happen? That's also another question.
Kohli averages less than 35 in England, New Zealand, where ball moves a lot. Yeah, he may do that. It's a fair point, but overall, he's still batting averages well into the 50s, and he'll come back and assess. Confident Music Lab says that. Well, they haven't got much to say they'll come back. They're not far from coming back. They're pretty much an even kill at the moment. They really are. I mean, England won't get more than the maximum England will get is 230. I reckon the maximum. They could get less, and that's even kill. But it will be India batting well in the second innings, and hopefully the conditions will be more.
Given the second condition and India's batting, even a 30-40 lead is a big thing. By just to cross 30-40, India might lose 3-4 wickets.
Yeah.
England would need only get maybe 100, 120 to win. It's all a question of the scoreboard pressure, which makes a big difference. So in second innings, India need to at least put 200 plus, I believe, to stand a chance of beating England. 200 plus is a minimum.
There's no doubt. You're right. You're totally right. That's for sure. Absolutely. All right, let's have a look here. If you look at 80% of England's runs have been scored with Root now has gone. Yeah, it's true. Root's dismissal is a massive one. That turned the match back to even keel. There's no doubt. If Root was not out with Milan at the end of the day, heaven help them, because Root would have went on and probably scored another century and put 100 lead on. It would have been a big decision. 21 runs is a failure for Root in particular, and
a big failure. I would say even if Root was out at 50, India would have been very happy. Getting him out in 20s is a big bonus.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about that. Just wait and see what Chris Wokes and Bairstow do. They're the two keys. After Milan, they're the two that are keys. If they can get all those players out cheaply, Moeen Ali won't last too long. You'll probably, unless Moeen Ali plays a Tucker type innings, then that'll be probably the end of that as well. So, it's a very, very, very interesting test match. I'm loving it. It's full of twists and turns.
Spicy, as what Kohli said.
Sorry?
I said spicy, like what Kohli said.
It's 5 test matches too. It really tests the teams. Their longevity. They're going to come back with momentum, then lose momentum, come back with momentum, lose momentum. It's a very intriguing flow. Because if they had 3 tests, it would have been 1-1.
Correct.
And it would have been a pretty good series, but over. Now there's still twists and turns.
Imagine, Norman, if it would have been only 2 tests, we would have said that India completely demolished England. Like the first test match was already won.
That's true. That's true. It was 2 tests. That's
true. News headlines would be India trashed England at home, at their home.
That's true.
If it was only 2 test matches, so you see such a big difference: 2, 3, and then 5 test match series play. It's a whole different ball game. So that's just the number of tests itself changed the whole scenario.
You there?
Yeah, Amir. There's a comment by Naman. If Pujara and Rane score centuries in the next innings, how long they can hold their places? Yeah, it's a good question. Like, let's say now if they score, then what?
Well, if they score centuries in the last innings, they'll become heroes. Let's be honest. I mean, that'll be huge, huge. I mean, really, that if they score those runs, then it was a deserved selection having them in the whole time. Really, that's what they're there for. Matches, to win matches like that. Yes, I mean, go back to the previous test. They lost the match, but the way that Pujara scored 91 was quite impressive. We can't take away from. He didn't get 100. Yes, he didn't go on with the next day. Yes. He still scored 91.
If you ask me, like, as a batsman, means, Norman, do you think like people like Rane or Pujara realizing their bat form before they're kicked out, they themselves go and say that, okay, let me take a break, let me sit out 1 or couple of matches. Maybe that might change the power position. Do you think at batsmen or it's actually better to play and get in form and be in the?
I don't think either of those things. Those two players won't say they'll take a break. I don't think so. And Kohli said it very clearly in a press conference, a couple of press conferences ago. He said very clearly, all this noise about their non-select, their dropping or not being selected is just noise. They're not hearing it. There's both Kohli and Shastri.
As I said, for them it does not matter.
Kohli and Shastri think Pujara and Rahane are as long as they want to be. And let's take it into perspective, the overall careers of these players. 6,000 runs, close to 5,000 runs, Kohli 7,000 runs. Pretty damn good stats, even though they've had a while since their centuries. Pujara's 91 recently. We've got to remember that. Kohli's got a couple of 50s. You can't knock either of those two. Rahane's scored a century in Australia, which was a while ago now, but still, that's
really very patchy, Norman. The disappointing part was also that when they played in India, also nothing happened. You had people like Ashwin and these people scoring and Rohit scoring century, but none of these, which was also very shocking that within India, if a person like Pujara and Rane can't score a century, then
I agree.
And even Kohli, to a point, even Kohli.
I agree, but I think that the reality is that they still have great records. I mean, you can't take that away from them. They've got great records. They really do. I mean, Rahane only was captain of the winning side of the Gabba in an amazing series earlier this year. Australia haven't played a test match since. It's not that long ago that Rahane was at the top. Got a century in Melbourne, captain of a team that won, one of the best test match wins ever by India, ever. We can't just think about dropping him that quickly. We've got to put it. Pujara, admittedly, hasn't gone, but he got 91 the last time he's batted, except for today when he got out cheaply. We can't. They're not disgraceful. I mean, let's go to Ollie Pope, for example. He hasn't scored 91 of late. Hamid played one good 60, but he's played a couple of shockers. He looked shocking today, didn't he? It's only really Root that's keeping England at bay, and now Milan somewhat and Besso, but they're all at sea. You would argue they've dropped their first drop. They've dropped Crawley. They've dropped Lawrence, haven't they? They've dropped.
Yeah, their problem is India is not dropping.
Yeah, okay, but I get your point. But England are dropping, but India is still doing well comparatively. They're doing okay. I'm not surprised. I actually do have respect for the Indian selections not changing their batting line. I have a lot of respect for it, to be honest. I really do. Their bowling, with their biggest mistake is not having Ashwin on the side. That's the mistake that I can't accept. But their batting, I'm actually quietly on their side. I'm actually pretty happy.
I can't remember when was that India scored a 400? Like the batting team mustered to make a 400. I can't even remember that.
Yeah, it's true. Well, they got 390 on the first innings recently. They didn't. They got 390, didn't they?
Something like 390.
That's pretty good. Look, I think we're being overly critical of India's batting lineup. I think they're okay. Punt needs to stop this stupid dancing in the wicket unless he is hitting the ball for six. Shardul Thakur showed Punt what he needs to do. He had the right mindset. He wasn't just premeditating his shots. He played a lot of very good. He was extremely impressive. Thakur is really worth his while. I reckon he's so significant. I'm really impressed with him. Really impressed with him. I think he is. How important was his innings today? How important was his innings?
No, very, very important. If given, let's say tomorrow England is out and again India scuttle out quickly, this 50 of his would make a big difference.
He had a 63 run, 7 for 127, and he scored a 63 run partnership. Pretty significant. I mean, 191 is still not a massive score, but it's a hell of a lot better than 120, 130, isn't it? I mean, really.
And a hell of a lot better than 78 or not.
Yeah, we've got pretty low comparisons, haven't we? We've got very, very low comparisons at the moment, which is probably where the problem lies. We're comparing against scores that are pretty ordinary. Let's be honest. 78. That's the test. Let's be honest. And when they lost? That's where they lost it. The first day. 78, none for 120. They lost on the first day.
And see, when a team scores 78, it immediately removes the complete pressure on the other team's batting lineup. So that's why you saw that the England openers also scored, which till now they were not scoring. It makes now today this 190. It at least kept some kind of a pressure on the English batsmen, and you could see that 78 was too low to, because any team knows that, say, even if they screw up completely, they would definitely be in the lead. 78 is that low kind of a score.
No doubt. Punt playing premeditated shots and getting dismissed in something is really disappointing. It actually looks really bad when the bowlers have a quiet little giggle and they raise their eyebrows to a batsman's shot. It almost sounds like an amateur's gone out there, honestly. I'm disappointed. I don't know. Punt seems to keep thinking that shot's going to work. If he's going to dance on the wicket, he needs to hit the ball for six. Then we'll respect it. But he's missing it completely. It's not even
And
close.
I don't like his nonchalant attitude also, like, as if he doesn't care, like, this is the way he plays, and this is, I find it little now getting too much, and not to a point at being acceptable.
Because he can play really good shots. He can play really good shots, classical shots. He doesn't need to do that. Especially, he needs to be there for a while, not poke, but play shots, yes, but pick the ball to play and build. He could score big. Thakur said it all. Really, Thakur's performance. Where was Moeen Ali filling? Was he? Where was he? Was at third slip, wasn't he?
Third slip, yeah.
When he took those catches, he was at
He
third slip.
took Rane's catch over there, right?
And he also took Thakur as well, didn't he? Where was he filling for Thakur?
Can't remember. I know he took Rane's catch because they went up to the third umpire to check. There was a slight fumble, but it was all okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work. Can you remember how Thakur got out? I'm trying to remember how he got out.
The LBW, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, Munchie's having a go at me now.
Yeah.
A few months ago, I said that Punt could not do any wrong. Well, it's true. He couldn't do any wrong. I still think he's a champion. He just needs to be a bit more selective with his shots, and off he'll go. Okay, Munchie, you're being nasty now. You're saying that's nasty. I still think highly of Punts, but he's getting a little bit out of hand now with that missed shot that he's playing. It's a little bit out of hand now. 4 Test tackles played, the 2 outside of some kind. In Australia, 1 draw, 1-1. In England, 1 draw and 1 play. 50. His contribution with both bat and ball in all 4 Test matches has been immense. I would agree. Tucker wasn't LBW. I'm pretty sure he wasn't LBW.
No, he was LBW, Norman. I think.
Was he?
Robinson took his wicket, if I'm not wrong. I don't have my.
Why did I think it was? Why did I think it was? Hang on. The series. Looking up. What would we do with that quick info? What a great thing it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look.
And I think I had introduced you to it, ESPN Crick Info, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, sorry. I'll take it back. Tucker was LBW. That's right.
By whom? By Vokes.
Punt and Rahane were both caught by Ali, and then Yada was caught by Bear. Tucker was, but he hit 7 4s and 3 6s, for God's sake. That was so much like punt, it was not funny. Really, Tucker played punt innings, didn't he?
Correct.
Tell you what, Richard, Punt, I still think he's worthy of keeping in the side. I'm not dropping him, but yeah, Munchie was nasty having a go at me. They reviewed it was LBW. Okay. By the way, I believe Norman Jimmy might be retiring the next 2. I tell you what, this is still coming up. This conversation about Jimmy Anderson retiring. I tell you what, Jimmy Anderson does retire next Test match. I hope he tells people early on, because he deserves a big send-off. And he really should be announcing that before the next Test starts, if that's the case. We don't want to go into the Test and see him retire without any fanfare. He deserves it. It's a record that,
Yeah, not like Dhoni, who after the Test match says that this was my last Test match. Retire.
Yeah, it was pretty sad, wasn't it? I didn't like that. Tim Wilton Davies says, Wokes in RIP Curran. Sam Curran's not dead. He's alive. He's a young boy. He's 20, whatever he is. He's got 10 years of cricket to go. Not nasty, but no one believed me when I said Punt was not as good as people were making out. Don't worry, Munchie. Your close friend Banstead boy was also knocking Punt. And in fact, Chris Vernon doesn't think much of him either. Bloody English. They all think that, what do you think, Ben Foakes is the only keeper in the world? That'd be nasty.
Norman, I'll take your leave.
All right, you go. We'll see whether Munchie comes on. All right, Baram, thank you for joining me.
Okay, take care.
Now. Talk soon. See you next day.
Take care. Bye-bye. Ciao. Bye, everyone.
Good to have Baram Irani on the show. I do appreciate his efforts greatly. He's a good part of the show. Yes, I'm trying to just look at whether I've got. hang on, it's just. So look here. So, okay. All right. I'm just trying to work out if I can go some. Chris Wokes is certainly dangerous. There's no doubt. Chris Wokes could be the man of the match of this match so far. He's played very well, and we haven't seen him bat yet, and he can do a tuck-or pretty quickly. Let's be honest. He can certainly do a performance that will, there's no doubt that Chris Wokes is very dangerous indeed. There's been a comment made here that I agree with. There's no doubt that Chris Wokes is very dangerous. He's about as close as they can get to a Ben Stokes at the moment. Sam Curran's perhaps not quite there yet, but he will be. All right. Punt cannot survive against Duke's ball unless he does. True. Post punt needs coaching from Sagwag or Jai Surya to play according to his style. I don't know whether they'll be the best coaches. They're both going to say, they'll both say to him, just be yourself. I'm pretty sure they'll say, just be yourself. They won't necessarily want him to change at all, to be honest with you. Very honest with you. I think that's Jai Surya and Sagwag coaching punt. They'll say, hit harder, hit longer, hit further. Those two were crazy aggressive batsmen. They were hitting from ball one like punt. In fact, there's nothing to learn from those two. Punt's already aware of that. Punt will only get worse in terms of his, he's flying through the air and his thoughts about what he should do. Let's be honest. Okay, guys. It's 5:30 in the morning here at the moment. Unless you're asking me questions. I believe Kohli no longer captain after the 5th test if England wins a series of test cricket. It's interesting you say that. I mean, Kohli's got such a vibrant short form of the game as well as test match. If he's not to captain, Tim, who is to captain India? Is it Rahane? We're talking about getting rid of Rahane as well. Who's your captain? Who will you replace him with? Rohit Sharma? Yeah, Dawood Malan is England's long-term first drop option. Good foil for Kohli, for Root. Very, 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 very good. Very good for Root. The way that Malan and Root have developed a partnership, including Bairstow following this, a good triumvirate there of players. England look very good. Openers, well, Hamid still hasn't quite succeeded in cementing his spot, I don't think. He'll be playing for the rest of the series, though, but whether he's up to it or not, it's an interesting question. It is an interesting question. Did Siraj look off colour? Siraj just bowled 2 poor overs. That's all. I don't think he's off colour. So just didn't bowl good. It happens. But Siraj's got a lot of fight in him. He'll come back tomorrow. Don't worry. I'm pretty sure he will. He'll come back without a doubt. He is a star player. Siraj is the future of Indian opening bowling for sure. With Bumrah, Siraj is certainly going to be there for a while. He's a great player. He'll play a lot more tests and take a lot more wickets. We may have seen the last of Ishant Sharma, I might say. Well, I think we've seen the last of Ishant Sharma, which is sad because he would like to have had a farewell. And he's played beyond. I have a lot of discussions about players leaving at the top. If James Anderson's an example of one, if he were to leave in the series at home and if they win the series, he should say, I'm retiring. It'll be a great moment to finish on. He's broken all records. He's already clearly the best fast bowler in the world in terms of stats. Okay, hasn't reached Morley and Warren, but they're 2 spinners, and he's still incredibly successful. What's really required, don't know what's the matter with. Yeah, it's this kind of a shocked that he didn't play the first 2 tests, but I accepted that. Thought he'd play the 3rd, didn't. Okay, that wasn't good either, but okay, he'll have to play the 4th test. Well, he's not in the side. That's a massive shock to me. Non-selection of Ashwin is very, very hard to comprehend. Very hard to comprehend indeed. I don't think anyone can explain that. Coley did explain it. Well, just read what Coley made comments about why he talked about that he thought Jadeja was there, not Ashwin. Was favoured because Jadeja is a left-arm bowler bowling left-hand batsman like Malan and the like. It's not that many anyway. And Burns, that he would have more chance of taking wickets, and also his batting was respected as more. And they did that by putting him up the order today above Rahane. That they try to make a point of saying that that's why he's in the side. I think they did that deliberately to put him ahead of Rahane to sort of show that. They put him ahead of both Punt and Rahane. He got 10. He looked okay, but he got 10, so we can't really judge that. But Jadeja is quality, yes, but Ashwin should have been selected. I think the full bowling attack of India, Yadav, Bumrah, Thakur and Siraj. Bumrah and Yadav took wickets. Shardul Thakur bowled quite well. Siraj was a bit disappointing, but yeah, I could have done with a spin option today, even today. Well, Jacob Balraj, why Kohli not changing a batting department? He can bring what Hari and Agarwal right. You're right. They're not going to bite the bullet about Pujara and Rahane in this Test series. They're not going to bite the bullet. The fact that Rahul came in and scored very well, which when he jumped ahead of Agarwal, was one that was a bit of a surprise. Rahul took advantage of that moment and batted really well. Stopped Agarwal getting in a hurry, so that's left them out. And yeah, look, Pujara's not going to be dropped. He got 91 in the previous Test match. So he's not going to be dropped. Rahane's the one that would be the one he would think, but Kohli's made it very, very clear. He doesn't understand all the noise about those two players. They're very satisfied with them. They're not letting them move anywhere. He made that pretty clear. So that was in it for the series. If Kohli is serious about Test cricket, he ought to let someone else captain in the World Cup. England had Owen Morgan. You mean for the short form of the game? Yeah, I think you're right. There's going to be a time, maybe in the next year to 2 years, that Kohli cannot continue as captain of all formats or playing all formats. He's going to make a decision at some point, because once he reaches a certain age, to be fair, he's still the best T20 and ODI player at the moment. He'd still argue. And Test cricket is not bad either. He's got to make a decision somewhere along the line of what he's going to do, which is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Naman Narayan Singh, despite a winning last Test, I think Root is going to have a very long summer without his mates down under. Yeah, I mean, Ben Stokes will be a massive loss if he's gone. Mark Wood, well, he's not on the side again today. Will Mark Wood come back for the last Test match? Mark Wood's injury may be significant. Chris Wokes was a good selection. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one in Australia, but we just don't know how good Australia is. Australia haven't played a Test match for so long, we're not even sure what their form's all about. They're going shockingly in the short form. The T20, they got beaten by West Indies and Bangladesh, and they're about to play the IPL and fragment the team again. They're going to play a World Cup with very much an underdone side that they're unlikely to get through the final four, which then means they go straight into a Test match against Afghanistan, which they can claim they're doing well against Afghanistan, but they're not going to be tested until they play England. England's played a lot of cricket this year, Test cricket, and especially if Root plays well, it'll be a big difference. But Root hasn't played well there, it's true. If Kohli loses the IPL and WT20, he'll be sacked. He has to be. Sacked from what? The short format? The long format? What are you saying when you're saying sacking? I don't know about that. No guarantee that Root will go down under. He has a young family. Interesting, Tim. Yeah, interesting about that. They play in one location like Darwin, and they can accommodate all the families. That's probably the only solution. And they're certainly going to find it hard to go from Sydney, Melbourne to Brisbane, especially with the climate of what's going on now. Not can they come back in this match? They're already back. They're already back. They've taken 3 wickets. Thakur scored 50 odd. I think so. Short format captaincy of Kohli. Yeah, they may have to give that up. Yeah, Rohit Sharma certainly there to take over. Agree.
There's a lot to be said about that. I agree. A lot to be said about that indeed. Kohli's so much pressure on him. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. That's what I think India need to learn, is to not pressurise their players so much and expect brilliance all the time, because they won't get it. It's just a fact of life. They can't get it all the time. You can't be brilliant all the time. And I think Kohli accepts it. And Kohli likes to say there was the noise around him. And I think I respect that. I think Kohli's pretty good at handling that, despite what everybody says. He's pretty good at handling that. Pretty good indeed. So, all right. Any other questions, guys? We've been on for 2 hours and 15 minutes now. It's 5:34 a.m. here in England. In India, it's 1 a.m., which is late. It's also around 8:30 p.m. in England. I think Shardul will give that seeming all-rounder option in overseas countries for India. I agree. Shardul is a great find. He bats them. His performance at the Gabba was amazing with the bat and the ball. Performance today was amazing. Could India pick Surya and Prithvi in the last test? I don't think they're going to do that. No. Because why would you? Prithvi Shaw would be an opener. That means Rahul and Rohit Sharma they're not. Rohit Sharma's playing, and I think Rahul will too. Only if Rahul will be dropped down the order, making way for Rahane, Agarwal will be the first one picked over Prithvi Shaw, so no. And Surya Kumar Yadav would have to be in place of either Kohli or Pujara, and they're both unlikely to go. Vihari's also there in front of Sky, so no, I don't think either of those. It's almost beginning to make me wonder whether they were deserving of coming on the series. Krishna's also one that, unless India get rather desperate, they won't be playing him either. So, yeah, it is a bit of a, and we've got to remember that they're both involved with the IPL and World Cups, and there's quarantines and what have you. Once the 5th Test team is announced, you'll see the players that are not the team will be heading straight to IPL duties, I'm pretty sure. Surya at number 3 and Prithvi at number 5. No, it's not going to happen. Good night, Norman. Enjoy it. See you tomorrow, day 2 preview. Summer Ame More. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. See you tomorrow. 1 o'clock in the morning in Indian time. It's pretty late. Let's have a look here. Yeah, we've got pretty good numbers, guys. Any more questions, guys? I'm here to answer questions now. It's question time. Big time question time. I've taken away the subscribers only thing. I should have probably changed that. But be interesting if I do put subscribers only to make comment. How many of you guys are commenting that are not subscribers? If you're not subscribing, please subscribe now. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button for future sessions. I've got my @NormKoch, which is my Twitter and my Instagram account, and my full name, Norman Kochnik, for my Facebook, and also the other being the LinkedIn. But we had a pretty good day 2 preview. Will go on. I'm going to find out whether I can go into the match a little bit, because I don't think there's any reason why I can't. It's a lot of conjecture about that. So. I think more people watching the Chris Woakes interview. Chris Woakes interview will be very important. There's a lot to be said about Chris Woakes' efforts. Certainly was. Chris Woakes was certainly someone who was worthy of having on the side, wasn't he? He played very well. Does England have the best bowling strength and depth of all countries? No, Archer. They certainly do. I mean, with Stokes, Broad, Archer, and Wood out of the team, they've still got Robinson, they've got Ollie Stone also floating around. They've got, Chris Woakes. They've got Yeah, I would agree. England stocks are the best in bowling for sure by far. If Australia had Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins out, they would be a mess. One thing is to remember that India cannot take Chris Woakes lightly in batting. Remember last year what he did against Pakistan and South Africa? He scored a massive century. You're right. He's a real danger, real danger. And he's got this fire in his belly because he's been out for a few matches. So I'd say there's a very good chance he could do very, very well indeed, actually. Yeah, I totally agree. Don't forget to. Okay, so any other questions, guys? I can see that the Chris Woakes interview is being watched, but not by a lot of people, but it's been watched by a few. It needs to be watched by, it's up to 108 now. Okay. It's getting there. There's no doubt Chris Woakes is a champion player. Pope might be dangerous tomorrow. I don't think so. Pope won't last long. Well, the conditions in the morning could be gloomy. Well, it's been pretty gloomy most mornings, so yeah, I'd say it'd be a good chance to be gloomy, but it's still going to be dry. When Ashwin played at the Oval for county match, why not pick him? I know he's played county cricket there, he's played Test cricket there, he's been a champion all over the world. He could have been X Factor, he could have taken England batting apart. Yeah, I totally agree. They're missing a trick without Ashwin being there, there's no doubt about it. Woakes is very strong on the offside. He has a good cover drive. India should focus on his pads and get feelers and chase. That's clever, Tim. The 100 also showed, this is Munchie, showed some great young bowling talent. Blake Cullen and Brad Wheel, for example. Yes, England praised them. They better all be ready to go to Australia and play in the Australia should. England should do well in Australia, even though it's not a Duke's ball and it's not swinging. They should still do very well. Yeah, Ashwin's not playing the last test. What if you put him in the last test? Then there'll be complete confusion because then why wasn't he picked the test before? So if they're sticking to their guns, Indian selectors will not pick Ashwin at all, which is phenomenal for Ashwin not to be a part of a 5-test series and not play one single match despite being fit for all of them. And if they lose the series, it's going to be very, very hard to work out what they've done. But they're sticking to their guns. They've got a certain format that the template, as they're saying, and the words of Coley around template. But it's funny. Now, Root's using the word template. For how many days lockdown has been extended in Australia? So until the end of September, at least. So it's been June, July, August, September. It's been almost 4 months now in total. And end of September will be extended to probably October, November, and it'll probably be well into December. How would the Aussies perceive the England performance so far? They'd be worried because England have got a lot of depth in their bowling. Batting, they're not as strong, true, but Milan, Root will do well in Australia. Crawley will probably travel as well. He'll do well. Although Rory Burns, interesting to see how he goes. But England, the key is if Ben Stokes at all. That's the key. Will Ben Stokes be ready to play in the Test series? It's still a bit of time away. There's a chance. Livingston is a batter. What's Parkinson? Parkinson is a bowler. What's Parkinson's story? Tim, tell me what Parkinson. I'm trying to recollect. Is he a bowler or batter? Livingston, I know, is an all-rounder. In particular, his batting is phenomenal. But what's Parkinson again? Is he a bowler? Is it Matt Parkinson? Is he the guy that bowls left arm? I don't know. Well, they didn't rest Anderson because it could be his last series, for God's sake. Talk about Sri Lanka beat South Africa by. Porky is a leggy. So, as in Porky Parkinson is a leggy. Okay, very slow leggy. All right, okay. Well, no. Now, Sri Lanka versus South Africa. Sri Lanka's won, which is quite a handsome victory. South Africa, surprisingly, with Rabada and the side didn't win, but I'm disillusioned with both those teams. I don't think either will do well in the World Cup. That's for sure. England seems favourites, and Aussies haven't played the Test match. Yeah, you're right. They're going to be struggling severely underdone. Matt Parkinson is leggy, a version of Shane Warne, but better. Hang on. Sorry. Shane Parkinson's better than Shane Warne. How could you say that? Shane Warne is the best spinner of the last century. Wisdom have put him in the best side ever. The ball that he got getting out was phenomenal. For Parkinson to be better than Warne, he's got to prove that by taking 708 wickets. It's not going to happen. Livingston can also bowl spin. Yeah, I've seen that, but I would rate him as a more than a spinner. But Parkinson, if he's what did he copy Shane Warne? Because I think he'd be better than Shane Warne. That's hard to even comprehend. Shane Warne was the best leg spinner ever, and will always be. He's Bradman-esque in terms of his bowling. Let's be honest. No doubt. New Zealand performed worse than Australia and Bangladesh. What do I think about that? Well, the conditions in Bangladesh must be pretty bloody ordinary that Australia's and New Zealand done that badly. But don't take away from the fact that Bangladesh played well. And they know their conditions. Good on them. Both teams have to play in the same conditions. It's not like one team has to battle, not the other. Oh, there's a lot to be said about Bangladesh at home. Good on. What if Rahul keeps wicket? That's possible. It is possible. It's not going to happen in the series, I'm pretty sure. In the future, we'll have to wait and see. Tim, okay. Livingston needs to score red ball runs, but should be in the squad for Oz. Yeah, I think he will. He's proven that he's played well in Australia. He loves the Australian conditions. He's had a lot of exposure there. He should be in the side, especially in the short format, long format. Why not? There's a lot to be said about Livingston. Livingston certainly is the flavour of the month at the moment. So a lot of England players. England's got a lot of depth. They really are a world power with cricket. India is obviously as well. They're the two top nations by far. New Zealand, although they won the World Test Championship, probably is third. Australia at this point is barely fourth. South Africa, Sri Lanka, layering on. West Indies and Pakistan could easily be bumped ahead of Australia as well, by the way. Especially in the short format, absolutely. No doubt. A lot to be said about West Indies in particular. So Ashes will be the end of JL as coach, I would say so. Could basically fill at the Lancashire team in Test. Anderson, Polkey, Livingston and Mahmood. Well, this Polkey guy, this Parkinson guy, listen, Davies is no local bias there, mate. I think there is a deliberate plot to not play Ashwin on last of the team management. What do you think? There might be some difficult. There might be things going in the background that we don't know about. We just don't, because I'm sure Ashwin would be livid about not playing. Will the BBL happen or not if COVID's situation does not improve? It means the crowd. It's true that BBL will probably still happen, but it'll be late, like in January, February. And by then you would think there's a chance it'll be on. And it might be in one location, wherever that will be, and they'll probably have very limited crowds. Unless it's in Queensland where they could have a crowd. Or in WA, Western Australia, they could have a crowd. Yeah, but Sydney, very unlikely. Melbourne, very unlikely. Queensland becoming less unlikely. Less likely. Okay. Okay. BCCI have blocked media, otherwise they could have made a Hitchcock film out of this Ashwin non-selection saga. Well, that's a Hitchcock film. I make a doom and gloom. I like that. You can't have an Ashes tour and not play the major stadiums. Well, Munchie, it may be the case. Do you not want a test series at all in Australia? Because that's SCG's in diabolical doubt because of the whole thing. It's quite unfortunate. For you, which England team can win an Ashes this year? For me, something. But I mean, I would argue Crawley's got to be in that lineup with Burns. I actually would open with Burns and Crawley with Malan at 3. Vince is in the squad as well. Hamid, I'm not sure about. Root, Bairstow for sure. Butler, if he's allowed to go. Certainly Chris Wokes, Anderson, and Broad should be okay by that stage of the time. Ollie Robinson for sure. Ollie Stone, if fit in the squad. Ben Stokes would be the one that you had to conclude with Sam Curran, but at this point, we'll see what happens with Ben. Ashwin not getting picked in test team is he is also not getting picked for limited overs team, being a one bowler test. Yeah, there's some real problems there. There's an ego clash between Ashwin and Kohli. I reckon that's a very good summation. I think there's a lot to be said about that. IPA matches will definitely help Australia in our games. Not as a team, it won't. Neat idea now. How are you, sir? Take care of your health and be safe. Enjoying your live stream. Thank you. What are your thoughts on an A-team series between England and... Yeah, it could happen. The success of New Zealand A-team was very important for New Zealand's development. Yeah, I think that could happen. They need to be playing more together. You're right. Otherwise, they'd be going months without any play. That certainly is an issue. I would agree with that totally. Okay. That's a good question. I should drink more water. Does RCB team look strong in this IPL? Well, with Kohli, I'm guessing AB de Villiers is still there and Maxwell's still there. Yes, they'll be very strong. Delhi Capital still for me. Okay, I'm just going to get a drink. I'm going to take advice of someone who's about to drink. Give me a sec, guys. That was good. Got a bit of a drink, guys. I think this is time around Australia will hammer England and Ashes because of the home conditions. What is your opinion? I would normally say that they would do well, but England have come over quite a few times and knocked Australia off with Cook and Strauss back in those days and Trott. Really, it depends on Ben Stokes was available. I'd say it'd be a different story. It's going to be a very even contest. Australia's been without Test cricket all year. They'll be underdone. Am I following the CPL? Not greatly, to be honest. The CPL's weird timing of the CPL, in my opinion. It's very weird timing. Maybe it's the right timing for them, but it's just not working with everybody else going on. A bit of a mess, actually. Certainly is a bit of a mess, isn't it? It's now coming up to 6 o'clock in the morning, guys. I think I'll be calling it quits very soon. Brahman is still on there. Still, India needs to have genuine swing bowlers. BCG must be look at having some specific players in respect to. You're right. They need to do that, but they can have those clinics can happen in India, by the way. All the CPL games are instant kits. Lovely island. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of much. I actually don't like St Kitts and Nevis. I like Antigua much better. St Kitts has got this horrible seaweed on the open. I think it's the Atlantic side. It's horrible seaweed. They got to get these massive trucks on that Marriott Hotel beach there. Very American, very much wanting tips. Antigua's a much better place. Ashwin's wife posts on Twitter with her daughter looking through binoculars with a caption, "Looking for Ashwin. Shots fired." Yeah, that's pretty sarcastic, but true and fair enough. I mean, no one can explain to me really what's going on there. That was after so many tests, he was due to play, but it didn't happen. I don't agree with you, Uncle India, but beaten Australia in Australia despite getting through. Why not England can beat Australia? Of course they can. I like Amos Vale. So where is Amos Vale? Where's that? I like Amos Vale. So is that in the Caribbean? I'm not sure that is. I've never heard of it. I'll have to agree to disagree. I'll take St Kitts over Antigua. No way. No way. Antigua. Jolly Beach is the best beach almost in the Caribbean. St Kitts, ugh. Maybe Ashwin an injury. No, he wasn't injured. They would have announced that. It would have been a great saving of face to do it. Bhuvneshwar is the ideal play for him because of his swinging ability. Yeah, he's almost the biggest surprise. Ashwin not being the side, really. St Vincent's in the Western is okay. All right, that's nice too. Night all, dinner time. Okay, Munchie. Good night. You take care. And on that note, guys, I might even wind up myself, guys. If you haven't got any more questions to ask, it's time for me to wind up as well. Don't forget to view, like, and share the post. Share on WhatsApp, share on Instagram, share on Facebook Messenger, share on your email services. Go to my Norman Koch, my Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnek and also hit the notification button. Please do that. If any of you are there, subscribe. Show me evidence that you're subscribing because I can see the numbers right in front of the screen, right in front of me here, whether people are subscribing or not. And there hasn't been a lot of movement. What's for dinner, Munchie? Roast pot? Something special and thinking breakfast here. No one, lots of love from Pune. Thank you, Uncle. Baran, you were online now. You're still online. Can't you go on? You're going to breakfast. Go and sleep. All right. Wow, it's been a long session. That's for sure. Yeah, the numbers are pretty good, guys. I'm trying to sleep, but your show is so interesting. I'm not even saying anything, Baram. I'm just checking out on my stats here. 9-16, okay. Do you think Nathan Lyons should play an Ashes because he didn't perform well against India? Of course he will. Nathan Lyons still got a long way to go before he's going to leave, that's for sure. Norman, thanks for supporting Indian cricket. I appreciate it. I appreciate it too. Appreciate your followings, guys. But make sure you subscribe. All right. Let me see you all subscribe, guys. The people that are on now, have you subscribed? Have you hit the subscribe button on my channel? Please show me. I want to see evidence. Not seeing a lot of evidence, guys. Too early to ask, but what do you think of India's second innings with the bat? It is too early to ask. They're going to have to improve more than they. I mean, their upper order's got to be the openers yet again are important to that. If they get England out for less than 230, then it's game on. It's evenly matched. After Shane Warne and Brad Hogg, Australia didn't produce quality spinners. What do you think? Well, Brad Hogg was never really a quality test spinner, that's for sure. His short form was pretty good, but I think it was Shane Warne. I mean, there's a guy called I forgot what his name is. Pope. I think his name's Pope. Ollie something. Can't remember. Ollie Pope. Oh, that's not Ollie Pope. He plays for England. There's another Pope guy. There's another bloke playing for Australia. He looks pretty good. Swepson's not much. He's crap. Oh, I think that who was this the leg spinner for the short form of the game? I forgot his name now. He looks pretty good. Who's the bloke who's the spinner for Australia? Adam Zampa. He looks pretty good. And he must be more flexible in team selection. Got to read conditions. Yeah, I better. I guess so. Let me assure you this, Norman. Whole of India is is with you because you're perfect analysis of cricket. Thank you. Line is quality, though. He is quality. Do you think Rahane will be dropped in the 5th test? No. Thanks, Sam, but that's correct. I like Aussies talking about cricket. My dad used to talk about Victor Trumper, Bradman, of course, Charlie. I think that's great. They're great players. Nathan Lyon, Adam Zampa, great. Very, very good. Got a flurry of questions sometimes, don't we? Really, it's gone 6 a.m. in the morning here in Australia, guys. It's time I go. All right. So England would play Ashwin in every game if we could do a transfer. You can have Butler, Pope, both Butler and Pope. It's a good point. Ashwin is an amazing player. I think there's something personality-wise which drives this. I think Kohli and Ashwin would be at each other's throats now. RJ Yadav, how are you? Yes, Australia has to improve the domestic structure. Yes. I'm good, Arjun. What's the question? Do you think Matt Parkins should be included for the Ashes? I'm hearing he should be. Does pace really matter in England conditions? I think so. And swing. Very possible Ash never minces words. I think that they don't get along. I've got a fairly strong feeling. This guy is a proven player, and I'm sure he will do well in the middle order. But not this series, he won't. Why can't they drop Rahane? They just won't. Not this late. They're not going to drop him in the 5th test. No. The test team will probably stay the same. And if India wins, I won't be changing anymore. They won't change Rahane and Pujara. Look at the fact that they're not putting Ashwin into the side. They're not putting Ashwin into the side as much as they're not dropping Rahane and Pujara from the side. That's the best comparison. Can Will Pekoski come in the Ashes? Certainly. Will it hurt these teams' legacy if India doesn't win the series? No, I don't think they will. I think India have done very well. Vihar is a poor guy, bad luck. Yeah, I mean, look, there's no way that they're going to. They've held England to 1-1 at home. That's pretty damn impressive, and they can still win this match. So they're far from being disgraced. India, I tell you, 78 was not a good performance. You're right, but who will be the ideal candidate for Indian coaching? It looks like this Ratul guy will be their bowling. The batting coach will be the overall coach. In his go by reputation, emotional, unlike Western countries. Yeah, there's a bit of emotion in all countries, but you're kind of right, Ryan K. Where are you from, Ryan K? Have you subscribed? All right, guys. Any more questions? Because I'm going to leave now. Again, view, like, and share the post. Subscribe. Hit the notification button. Go to @NormKotch, my Twitter and Instagram handle, and link up there. Go to LinkedIn and Facebook for my full name pages as well. We've gone for long enough today, guys. I appreciate your time. Virahari could also come into the team. He played very nice since he did slight injury. Yeah, certainly. Great player. Great depth. Great depth. But yeah, I think it's time for me to go, guys. All right, so you like to see Ricky Ponting as a coach? Well, he certainly does well with the is it the Delhi Capitals and Mumbai Delhi Capitals? He does a good job. Yeah, fair point. BJ's thumbs up from DJ. Thanks, Ryan. All right, guys. We'll see each other soon. I've got to go now. Okay, all the best. All right. Say goodbye. View, like, and share the post. Subscribe. Hit the notification button. Also, what about the weather? The weather's not a problem, Harsh. The weather's not an issue. It's dry for the rest of the series. There's going to be a result. @NormKotch for Twitter and Instagram, and go to the Facebook and the LinkedIn page of the Norman Koch thing. Subscribe to my channel. All right. All the best.